The Life of Nami, One Piece. Cat burglar Nami is the navigator of the Straw Hat Pirates and one of the senior officers of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. She's the third member of the crew and the second to join, doing so during the Loguetown Arc. She's the adoptive sister of Nojiko after the two were orphaned and taken in by Bell-mère. She was formerly a member of the Arlong Pirates and initially joined the Straw Hats so that she could rob them in order to buy back her village from Arlong. However, she legitimately joined the Straw Hats after they rebelled against and defeated Arlong. Her dream is to make a map of the entire world. She first gained a bounty of 16 million berries following the raid on Enies Lobby. It later increased to 66 million after the Dressrosa Arc. Following the raid on Onigashima, her bounty was increased to 366 million berries. Welcome to the Amagi. In today's video, we're going over the life of Nami. Before we begin, we publish a new video every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. If you don't know already, YouTube does this thing where it randomly unsubscribes you from channels, so if you could, please double check if you're subscribed to our channel if you want updates. The Amagi's reach stretches beyond just this channel, so if you're a fan of us, please consider subscribing to our other channels and following us on all of our social media accounts. Help us reach our goal of passing 100,000 followers on all of our accounts by the end of the year. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Early life. Nami was born 20 years ago to unknown parents as an orphan of war from the Oikot Kingdom. She was found as a baby by Nojiko, then shortly after by a heavily injured Bell-mère, a female marine, in the aftermath of a hostile battlefield. Despite the ruins and bloodshed she was found in, her innocent smile and laughter rang true. Bell-mère took Nami and Nojiko back with her to Kokoyasi village, where she would then adopt the two children. The three became as close as any real family. As a child, Nami developed a love for drawing maps and navigation and the dream to draw a complete map of the world. However, Bell-mère's Mikan trees provided only meager means of support, and they were unable to afford anything other than the bare necessities. As a result, Nami couldn't afford the navigation books, leading her to often steal them from the village bookshop. One day, Bell-mère scolded Nami when she got caught stealing. However, she applauded Nami's first drawing of the island as the first step of her dream and put faith into Nami that she really could do it. In 1 year, in which the price of Mikans fell due to a large supply, Bell-mère had to eat only Mikans and gave most of the food to Nami and Nojiko, but didn't let on how bad the situation was to Nojiko and Nami. One day, Nami was given Nojiko's dresses by Bell-mère, who simply turned the sunflower on it into a lion, and Nami was offended because she wanted her own clothes and not Nojiko's hand-me-downs. This ensued into an argument between her and Nojiko. During the discussion, Nami said that she didn't consider Nojiko a true sister, causing Bell-mère to slap her. Nami replied that she wasn't her mother, and that she would have been happier if she didn't have her and Nojiko, and she added that it would have been better if she had been adopted by a richer family. Bell-mère then told her to go where she wanted, so Nami ran away from her. Later, Nami met up with Genzo and revealed that she had run away from home, to which he laughed because he was only a few steps away. The girl told her that Bell-mère would be better off without her and Nojiko, because she would have more money. Plus, the townspeople despised her. Genzo laughed again and said that if he thought about the others, he would reveal that Bell-mère had a bad reputation at his age. But then he left the village, became a marine, and then came back, which surprised Nami. Genzo then told her the truth of how Bell-mère found her daughters. After hearing everything, Nojiko came and told him to go home. Just at this time, the fishman pirate Arlong took over Konomi Islands and came upon Kokoyasi village. Nami and Nojiko hid in some trees, watching the pirates collect tribute from every adult and child in the village in order to live. As the fishman headed home, the two girls ran to help their mother. When they arrived, Nami said that they were going to run out the back with Bell-mère, but Nakalos intercepted them, telling them that they couldn't go there. He revealed that there was no proof that Bell-mère was her mother, and that they have to leave the island to be safe. And though the two girls didn't want to, they had to in order to save Bell-mère. However, Bell-mère said that she was paying for her daughters and not for her, so Nami and Nojiko ran towards her, hugging her. She then saw in front of her eyes how Arlong brutally murdered her. Nami was then kidnapped and forced to become a cartographer for Arlong after he noticed the quality of her maps at such a young age. However, Arlong struck a deal with Nami. If she brought him 100 million berries, he would free her village. Nami remembered Bell-mère's words that if she can survive, then happy times would come her way. Nami then returned to the village and revealed to the villagers that she had joined Arlong's team as a cartographer. They saw her tattoo of the Jolly Roger of the Arlong Pirates, and Nami showed the money they had given her. So Nojiko attacked her and knocked her to the ground, telling her that she would not allow her to be part of the crew. Nami replied that if she lived as she wanted, she would end up like Bell-mère, which made Nojiko even more angry. Genzo told the latter to stop and that Nami would never set foot in the village again, to which Nami agreed and left, but that even if the Marines managed to land, they would be defeated. For this, they had to do something. something. He continued to reveal the deal with Arlong, to which Nojiko emphasized that the amount needed to free the village was too high. Nami said that he couldn't ask anyone for help, or there would be a massacre, and that he didn't want people to suffer. Nojiko asked her if she didn't like being around fishmen, but Nami told her that she had decided to fight alone. Nami began working hard to purchase Kokoyashi from Arlong, believing that once she liberated the village, she would be able to pursue her dream and find happiness. She spent the next 8 years making maps for Arlong and stealing treasure from the pirates she joined, then hiding it in the orchard of Bell-mère. Orangetown Arc. During her time working for Arlong, she managed to steal a map of the Grand Line from Buggy and then laid adrift at sea with an empty treasure chest, which she used to trick some pirates and took their boat and their treasure instead. At Orangetown, she was running from 3 of Buggy's henchmen when Monkey D. Luffy fell out of the sky. Luffy emerged from the smoke unharmed, wondering what shot at him. Nami suddenly got an idea and called Luffy boss, asking him to take care of the pirates. The pirates surrounded Luffy, and one of them hit him on the head, knocking off his straw hat. This made Luffy angry, and he easily defeated all 3. Nami, who was watching, was impressed by his abilities and introduced herself as a thief who specialized in robbing pirates. Nami at first tried to form a partnership with Luffy, but when she found out he was a pirate, she turned Luffy into Buggy and pretended he was her former boss. She tied up Luffy and gave him to Buggy, who locked him in a cage. Later, Nami pretended to join Buggy's crew so she could steal his gold. This worked well until Buggy ordered her to kill Luffy to prove her loyalty to him. Nami's conscience got the best of her, and she decided to save Luffy. Fortunately, Zoro showed up in time to save them both and fought with Buggy. Zoro cut Buggy into pieces, marveling at how easily he was defeated. However, when he turned around, he found that Buggy's hand had managed to detach itself and stabbed Zoro in his midsection. Buggy then revealed he ate the Bada Bada no Mi, a devil fruit giving him the power to detach his body parts, rendering him invulnerable to sharp objects such as swords. However, the 3 of them managed to escape by firing Buggy's cannon at Buggy and his crew. Escaping into the empty town, the 3 met a dog, Chocho, and the mayor of Orangetown, Boodle, who explained the dog's situation of guarding his master's pet shop, despite knowing that his master was already dead. Their talk was interrupted by the arrival of Buggy's first mate, Moji, and his pet lion, Richie. Nami and Boodle escaped as Zoro was recovering from his wound in the mayor's house, but Luffy was still stuck in the cage that Buggy imprisoned him in when Nami turned him in. After Moji and Richie destroyed the pet shop, Nami thought that Luffy was responsible and attacked him, saying that he was no different from the other pirates. However, she was stopped by Boodle. When Luffy gave the last box of dog food to Chocho, she realized that Luffy actually fought for the dog's sake. Boodle, inspired by Luffy's courage, went to confront Buggy, but was almost choked to death. Luckily, Luffy, Zoro, and Nami arrived and saved him. Luffy then knocked him out to make sure he wouldn't get in the way. Nami showed no interest in the battle and snuck off to steal Buggy's treasure and map of the Grand Line. During the fight, Buggy chased after Nami when he spotted her taking his loot, but Luffy saved her. As Buggy separated his body parts again, preparing for another attack on Luffy, Nami stole some of them and tied the stolen body parts together. Buggy was left with just his hands, feet, and head, making him vulnerable for Luffy to send flying. Nami gave Luffy the map of the Grand Line as she thanked him and agreed to partner up with him for the time being. As the trio started to relax, the townspeople came back into the town and demanded answers once they saw their mayor knocked out. Because of Luffy's reply, the townspeople chased them out of town, though the 3 managed to lose them thanks to Chocho's intervention. Boodle woke up and set after them himself just as Luffy, Zoro, and Nami left the island on 2 small boats. The mayor then thanked the 3 from the dock as they sailed off. To Nami's surprise, Luffy had deliberately left one of her treasure bags behind to help people of Orangetown rebuild their homes. She threatened Luffy and warned him to never do that again. Syrup Village Arc. The group landed on a mysterious island inhabited by strange creatures. After passing the test of the forest, the group met Gaimon, a pirate stuck inside a treasure chest and had been marooned by his crew. They became friends, and Luffy agreed to help Gaimon get the treasure that he had been guarding on the top of the rock. When Luffy refused to throw down the treasure chests, Gaimon realized that the chests on the rock were the same as the island's other empty treasure chests. Seeing Gaimon's disappointment, Luffy offered to take him off the island, but Gaimon decided to remain on the island and protect the island's rare animals he had befriended. With that, the pirates parted ways with Gaimon and continued on their journey. The group arrived at Syrup Village and met Usopp, who entertained notions of grandeur by commanding the Usopp Pirates, composed of Usopp and 3 loyal village boys. Once the children ran away in fear, the pirates and Usopp shared a meal, although Usopp left early. Nami lectured Zoro and Luffy on not eating the fish bones, which caused the Usopp Pirates to mistake the 3 for cannibals, much to Nami's annoyance. The boys, Ninjin, Piman, and Tamanegi, told them that Usopp's wealthy friend Kaya was bedridden, but was well provided for by 2 of her butlers, Mary and Klahadore. Luffy believed Kaya would be able to to give them a boat, so they moved forward to visit her. The group was sent flying into the backyard by Luffy, only to intrude on an argument between Usopp and Klahadore, who insulted Usopp's father and forced the group away from the house. While Usopp and Luffy bonded, Nami, Zoro, and the boys came across the backwards walking hypnotist Django. After Usopp ran past them, hysterically screaming that Klahadore was a pirate, they went in search of Luffy. Luffy confirmed that Klahadore was actually Captain Kuro, who planned on killing Kaya and getting all her money. Usopp returned but told the boys that it was just a lie, and they left disappointed at Usopp lying to hurt people but not to entertain. The group gained a great deal of respect for Usopp because he tricked the boys to protecting their well-being. They agreed to help him so long as Nami got the treasure. Usopp planned to have an oil slick to stop the pirates, making it easy for him to snipe them. However, the four were on the wrong side of the island. Nami fell into the oil slick but managed to switch spots with Zoro and ran off to fight, leaving Zoro behind. Luffy became lost in his dish, causing Usopp and Nami to initially fight the pirates alone. Just before the two were killed, Zoro and Luffy arrived and fought Kuro's crew. Django hypnotized his allies to increase their strength but accidentally hypnotized Luffy. Django was then forced to hypnotize Luffy to sleep again, but not before Luffy ripped off the ship's figurehead, which he then dropped and knocked out the crew. Meanwhile, Django summoned the Nyaban brothers, Buchi and Sham, who fought against Zoro. Disarmed of all but one sword, Zoro fought an uphill battle against the teamwork of Buchi and Sham, which was difficult without all three swords, and Zoro prevented Usopp from helping him by taking a hit from his Namari Boshi to keep him from getting dragged into the fight. Kuro then appeared, disgusted by how the Black Hat pirates were getting beaten by children, and gave the Nyaban brothers 5 minutes to finish off Zoro before he kills everyone. Nami was able to kick Zoro's swords back to him, allowing him to defeat the Nyaban brothers effortlessly, but Buchi survived and was hypnotized by Django to give him more strength. Nami went to wake Luffy up, but Django tried to stop her with his chakram. But at the last second, Nami stepped on Luffy's face, waking him up in time to stop the chakram with his rubber body. The battles between Luffy and Kuro, Zoro and Buchi, and a later combination of Zoro and Usopp against Django came to an end. Meanwhile, Nami robbed the Black Hat pirates of all their treasure. Usopp decided that news of a real pirate attack might be too upsetting for the villagers and would affect their peace of mind, since pirates did not normally come to an out-of-the-way village. Thus, he ordered everyone to keep it a secret, which Kaya and the Usopp pirates agreed with. Kaya was grateful to the Straw Hat pirates and gave them her ship, the Going Merry. Usopp was also grateful to them as well, and then had the confidence to disband his pirate crew and strike out on his own to be a real pirate. Usopp said goodbye to the pirates, who became confused and told him to stop and get on their ship with him. Usopp complied and boarded the Going Merry, officially becoming a member of the crew. Baratie Arc. The crew met Johnny and Yosaku, Zoro's former bounty hunter companions. However, Yosaku was suffering from an ailment where old wounds would reopen and begin bleeding. Nami was able to diagnose and cure him of scurvy. They then realized that they would need a good chef to survive the Grand Line, so they set sail for the Baratie restaurant, where Luffy began his job as a chore boy to pay for the damage he had done to the Baratie. Nami, Zoro, and Usopp paid him a visit while he worked off his debt. Seeing Nami for the first time, Sanji declared her love for her, to which he gave her fancy food, and she manipulated him into giving it to her for free. Back on the Going Merry, Johnny and Yosaku dropped a pile of wanted posters, one of which Nami picked up and looked at intent, which was the poster of Arlong. While Johnny and Yosaku guarded the boat, she asked them to turn away while she changed her top. She then pushed them off the Going Merry and took off alone with the ship, declaring that she was a thief who stole from pirates. Arlong Park Arc. Nami arrived at Arlong Park on Konami Islands in the Merry. A boy confronted her, trying to fight Arlong for the death of his father. Nami slapped him and gave some belly to make him go away. Zoro was later brought to Arlong Park, where he discovers Nami's allegiance to Arlong. After some banter, Arlong proudly stated that Nami was the type of person who would betray even her own family for the sake of riches, trying to test her allegiance. This visibly disturbed Nami, and Zoro threw himself into the water to test Nami. She saved Zoro, but beat him to reassure Arlong. While in prison, Nami cut Zoro's bonds to help him escape. After Arlong's visit to Kokoyashi village, Nami arrived sometime later. Except for Nojiko and Genzo, Nami revealed to Nojiko that she enjoyed being part of the crew, even for a short time. The three later visited the gravesite of Nami's adoptive mother, Bell-mère, where Nami revealed that she was almost finished paying Arlong's fee to buy back Kokoyashi. The fishmen captured Usopp and threatened to kill him. Usopp asked Nami for help, causing the fishmen to become suspicious of Nami once more. He then used a Kamuri Boshi to try to escape. Nami intercepted him and announced that she would kill Usopp herself. Nami appeared to stab Usopp from Arlong's point of view, but he had actually stabbed her own hand and kicked Usopp into the ocean. She then told Arlong that she had killed him and was indeed one of Arlong's crew. Nami soon ran into Luffy, Sanji, Yosaku, and Johnny, and she reminded Luffy that she only partnered up with him for the treasure. She then told the group to take their ship back and leave the island. Luffy refused, causing Nami to angrily walk away. A group of Marines, led by a captain named Nezumi, landed on the island and was revealed to have been bribed by Arlong for a long time to ignore his actions on the Konami island. Nezumi had Genzo take him to Nami's home, where he accused Nami of hiding stolen money. Nami tried to stop them, but the Marines found the treasure she had been collecting since being kidnapped by Arlong, 93 million belly, and only 7 million belly short of her deal to buy Kokoyashi back. Genzo revealed to the Marines that the money was for the repurchase of the town, and admitted to a startled Nami that he and the town always knew what she was doing after she joined Arlong. The Marines took the money by force and left. Nami ran back to Arlong and accused them of sending Marines to look for her money. Arlong denied it and threatened Nami, claiming he never broke their deal, and told her that if she wanted the village back, she would just need to start again from scratch. Back in the village, Genzo rallied the villagers to attack Arlong for going back on the deal he and Nami brokered. Afraid of more people from the village dying, Nami tried to stop them from attacking Arlong, but failed to do so. Feeling hopeless, Nami collapsed to the ground and repeatedly stabbed herself in the arm where Arlong's tattoo was, until Luffy stopped her. Nami tearfully asked for Luffy's help, and he gave her his straw hat and agreed to her request. With that, Luffy, Zoro, Usopp, and Sanji went to Arlong Park, which led up to the collapse of Arlong Park. After defeating Arlong, Luffy rose from the collapsed building and shouted at the top of his voice that Nami was his friend, to which Nami tearfully nodded. The Marines led by Nezumi tried to interfere, but they were defeated by Zoro. Nami's village was freed, and she rejoined the Straw Hats as a permanent member. Following the village-wide celebration of their liberation from Arlong's control, Nami had Dr. Nako remove her Arlong Pirates tattoo, but he was unable to get rid of it entirely. Because of this and the fact that Nami had already maimed her arm quite badly, she was left with a noticeable scar. Nami decided she would get a new tattoo to cover the scar, and had Dr. Nako engrave one of the designs of the pinwheel with a tangerine on it, after her guardians, Bell-mère and Genzo. On the night before she left Kokoyashi, Nami paid one last visit to her old house, and imagined she was speaking to Bell-mère in person, voicing her regrets to be leaving her home for a long time, as it meant a lot to her due to the memories of her foster mother. However, as she left the house, she felt a strong push from a hand shoving her out the door. She realized Bell-mère's spirit had really been there listening to her, and was encouraging her to begin her journey with the crew. Finally at peace with the past, Nami smiled and prepared to disembark. On her way out of the village, Nami wished to say goodbye to no one. She left the entire treasure taken from Nezumi in Nojiko's house for the village, and ran towards the Going Merry after stealing all of the villagers' wallets. This caused certain opinions for Nami to spring up, like Sanji cheering for her, Zoro saying that Nami might betray them again, Usopp saying that she hasn't changed, and Luffy laughing. Loguetown Arc. The crew arrived at the last large town before the entrance to the Grand Line, Loguetown, the place where Gold Roger was both born and executed. They stocked up on supplies. Soon, Luffy went to see the platform where Gold Roger was executed and was attacked by Buggy and Alvida. The Marines discovered them. Miraculously saved from death by an unnatural green gust and a lightning bolt to Buggy, the crew rushed out of Loguetown. Nami and Usopp arrived at the ship and found that Moji, Buggy's crewmate, was planning to burn their ship. They easily defeated him, but some Marines arrived shortly after. Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji arrived and got aboard. Reverse Mountain Arc. The Straw Hats arrived at Reverse Mountain through the storm after fleeing Loguetown. They were nearly blown off course and into the calm belt, but eventually reached the entrance of Reverse Mountain and managed to climb its uphill rapids because of Nami's navigation, despite some tricky close calls. As they came down, they heard a noise and noticed that something was blocking their path. They identified the blockage as a huge whale that was threatening to crush the Going Merry. Luffy managed to keep the ship from crashing into it, but seeing the bow broken off enraged Luffy, and he attacked the whale. The whale swallowed the Going Merry and her crew, except for Luffy, who managed to escape into the whale's back. Inside, the remaining crew members suddenly found themselves in what looked like an outside setting, with a house in the middle where they met an old man named Crocus, who revealed that the strange setting was in fact the whale's stomach. They later reunited with Luffy and encountered two people inside known only as Mr. Nine and Miss Wednesday, who apparently were plotting to kill the whale. Crocus revealed that the whale's name was Laboon, and that he was trying to ram into the mountain. Crocus began to explain to the Straw Hats why the whale was covered with scars and continually rammed the mountain. Crocus explained to the Straw Hats about how a regular compass wouldn't work past Reverse Mountain, and that they needed a log pose if they were to travel to the Grand Line. Crocus explained how the log pose worked, and mentioned the final destination of the Grand Line, Laugh-Tale, where One Piece could be, as the only person to reach there was Gold Roger. Luffy revealed the log pose he found after they dumped Mr. Nine and Miss Wednesday, but it was broken, so Crocus loaned them his. The Mr. Nine pair spied on the group from afar until they were knocked into the ocean by Mr. 13 and Miss Friday for failing their mission to kill Laboon. They reacquainted themselves with the crew again and begged them to take the two to their hometown, Whisky Peak, to which Luffy agreed. With that, they said farewell to Crocus and Laboon and set off. Whisky Peak Arc. When the crew arrived at Whisky Peak, Nami managed to outdrink at least 15 other people in the party. After pretending to pass out, Nami woke up, and while Zoro fought the bounty hunters, she tried to find the treasure the bounty hunters had stolen from other pirates. but was unsuccessful. Later, once Vivi's identity as princess of the Arabasta kingdom was revealed, and take her to Arabasta in return for a great compensation. Nami offered to do it for 1 billion berry, and Igaram was forced to agree. Igaram then explained Baroque works to Nami while Zoro went to protect the princess. When Luffy started a fight with Zoro due to a misunderstanding, Nami broke up the fight. Vivi then further explained Baroque works to Nami, Luffy, and Zoro. Vivi unwittingly revealed that Mr. Zero was in fact Crocodile, one of the 7 warlords of the sea. This was witnessed by Mr. 13 and Miss Friday, which made the Straw Hats target for Baroque Works since nobody was allowed to know the true identity of Baroque Works' boss. Igaram dressed up like Vivi and left the island intending to act as a decoy, but his ploy failed, and his ship was destroyed by Miss All Sunday. She confronted the crew on their ship and gave them an eternal pose to the island of nothing, an island near Arabasta where no Baroque Works agents would find them. Luffy then destroyed it, stating that she wasn't deciding the course they were taking. Miss All Sunday stated that she had no problem with a great spirit like Luffy's and quickly left the Going Merry on her turtle. Shortly after, the crew left Whisky Peak. Little Garden Arc. With the newly acquired Princess Vivi on board, the crew soon found themselves on the prehistoric island Little Garden. While Usopp and Nami felt uncomfortable leaving the ship, Vivi and Luffy decided to go explore the island. Meanwhile, Nami and Usopp were terrified when Brogy, a giant, showed up and decapitated a Tyrannosaurus Rex. After a failed attempt at playing dead, he decided to bring them home with him, much to their alarm. Back at Dory's campsite, Dory explained that he and Brogy were forever destined to continue their 100-year-long duel, which started over a reason that Dory had long forgotten. Nami stated that such a battle was pointless, while Usopp disagreed and spoke of honor, and then wished to visit Elbaf and be a man like them. When Dory and Brogy were just about to continue their bout, Dory suffered from an internal explosion from his intake of the crew's wine, and Nami took this opportunity to leave. When Brogy and Dory left to battle, Nami and Usopp agreed it would be a good time to return to their ship to figure out how to escape the island. Waiting a year for the log post to reset would take way too long. On their journey back, they began to run from local wildlife. Usopp was terrified and began to run ahead of Nami. Meanwhile, Nami spotted Luffy and ran towards him for help. However, she realized it was an immobile statue as she moved closer. Zoro also fell for Mr. 3's wax sculptures and was captured along with Nami. Meanwhile, the Mr. 5 team personally captured Vivi. Mr. 3 and Miss Golden Week imprisoned Nami, Vivi, and Zoro in a trap, which slowly turned them into wax sculptures. A battle broke out where Luffy, Usopp, and Karu had to battle both the Mr. 3 and Mr. 5 teams to save their friends. When Usopp's plan succeeded in setting Nami free from her wax prison, Nami joined Vivi in knocking out Miss Valentine. The crew soon met with Sanji, who revealed he had obtained an eternal pose for Arabasta from the Unluckies. With that, they disembarked on their journey. While Nami's navel was exposed, a prehistoric insect bit her, resulting in Nami catching a deadly disease. Drum Island Arc. The crew agreed to focus on looking for a doctor to help Nami, who overexerted herself and steered the crew clear of a giant cyclone. Vivi took note of Nami's ability to feel the weather. While looking for a doctor, the crew met the pirate Wapol, who attacked them, but Luffy sent him flying. They arrived at last to Drum Island, only to find out that they were not welcome as they were attacked by the locals. The crew managed to gain the trust of the people and were taken to a nearby village to see a doctor, except for Zoro and Karu, who stayed to guard the ship. Luffy and Sanji then took Nami to the island's sole doctor, who lived on a mountaintop. They were attacked by a herd of Lapan. Sanji defended them and ordered Luffy to not attack in order to protect Nami. An avalanche occurred and injured Sanji. Luffy was left with the responsibility of carrying both Nami and Sanji to the doctor, and so began his ascent. The Lapan helped Luffy escape from Wapol, giving him enough time to climb to the castle where Dr. Kureha lived. The recovering Nami met a strange creature. After learning about him, Nami asked Chopper to join the crew, but he wasn't interested. Kureha told Nami some of Chopper's background. The doctor told the story of how Chopper lived his life and how the quack doctor, Hirlook, took care of him. More of Chopper's past was revealed, including the fate of the doctor and Wapol's cruelties as king. Wapol was determined to bring down Hirlook's flag, and to do that, he engaged Sanji, Luffy, and Chopper in a fight. After finally being convinced to join their group, Chopper announced his intentions to Dr. Kureha, who didn't take it too well. After Chopper, Luffy, Sanji, and Nami escaped from the castle, Kureha decided to give the whole crew a farewell gift. Arabasta Arc. At some point, Nami asked Usopp to build her a weapon so she could help fight, because she wanted to protect Vivi and not be weak. The crew saw a sea cat as they neared Arabasta. Starving for food, they tried to capture it, but Vivi stopped them since it was considered a sacred animal. As they passed through some steam from an underwater volcano, Luffy and Usopp caught an Okama while fishing. As they waited for his crew to catch up, he entertained them with his devil fruit ability, the Mane Mane no Mi, to copy other people's appearances, one of which was Vivi's father. Right after the man returned to his crew, the Straw Hats learned that he was Mr. 2 Bonkare of Baroque Works. Knowing his abilities, they made an X mark on the right arms and covered them with bandages to know when he would be posing as one of them. The crew landed at Nanohana, where they encountered Smoker and Tashigi. A powerful pirate named Portgasti Ace appeared and was revealed to be Luffy's older brother. Ace fought Smoker while the crew ran for their ship. Ace caught up with them and gave Luffy a Weatheria card before departing. They docked their ship near the once green city of Erumalu, where they saw the extent of the country's suffering as Vivi explained how Baroque Works was using dance powder to cause it. After tackling some of the dangers in the desert, they reached Yuba, where they met Toto, a friend of the royal family. They found out that the rebel army had moved out of Yuba and headed to Katorea, and the rebel leader Koza, Toto's son and Vivi's childhood friend, was determined to attack. The crew traveled to the city of Rain Base to take down Crocodile and Baroque Works, but ran afoul of Smoker and Tashigi. Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Usopp, and Smoker were trapped by Crocodile. Chopper distracted Crocodile while Sanji freed the rest of the crew. After escaping from rain dinners, Usopp and the crew, together with Vivi, crossed the desert to Alabarna, where the final battle would take place. However, Crocodile managed to catch Luffy, beginning the first round of their battle. The crew, excluding Luffy, proceeded to Alabarna. As they reached their destination, they split up to distract the Baroque Works agents to engage their battles separately. Nami was chased down by Mr. 1 and Miss Doublefinger, as Mr. 1 aimed to always start with the weaklings first. Nami was cornered and tried to face them, but flustered and tried to flee again. Mr. 1 moved in for the kill, but she was saved by Zoro, who fought him off, leaving Nami alone with Miss Doublefinger. Nami fled and hid while trying to figure out her new weapon, the climb attack. She was then suddenly impaled through the back of her shoulder by a spike jutting through the wall. Miss Doublefinger broke apart the wall behind her with her devil fruit abilities. She called Nami a useless girl, and then explained she could grow spikes anywhere on her body. Nami took out her weapon and attempted to call upon a storm, but instead, it did a party trick. Miss Doublefinger remained puzzled, wondering what she was doing. Nami attempted again, but had a bouquet of flowers pop out, leaving Miss Doublefinger even more confused and embarrassed for her. Miss Doublefinger began to attack, as Nami barely was able to dodge her attacks and rolled away, feeling frightened. She told Nami that running away from her wasn't helping, and nobody was coming to save her. Nami tried to use her climb attack, but it spit out a boxing glove on a spring that Miss Doublefinger slapped aside. She then sliced up Nami's cheek and began to chase her down by rolling into a large ball of spikes. Nami got knocked through a glass window, but with quick thinking, she wrapped her robe over her enemy and hurled her away, as Miss Doublefinger was mildly impressed by her desperate tactics. Nami looked over the instruction manual and found the fighting combinations were written on the back, much to her anger. Nami climbed out of hiding, confronting her enemy with confidence that she was able to fight. She tore her dress, allowing herself to move better and preparing to fight. She began blowing bubbles of warm, cool, and static, doing nothing but mildly amuse her enemy. Growing bored, Miss Doublefinger finished her cigarette and charged at her, growing spikes on her heels. She caught up to Nami and shoved a spike through her back leg. She told Nami that she didn't feel like playing with her anymore, and turned her bottom heel into spikes that she tried to impale her. Nami then was able to use her climb attack and blew her away a certain distance. She read over her manual, beginning to understand further how to use her weapon and the combinations of using hot and cool pressure. Miss Doublefinger became angered at her for not paying attention to their battle and charged at her, shoving her spiky fingers through her chest and face. What would have been a killing blow turned out to be merely a mirage that Nami had used to trick her. Miss Doublefinger attacked again, with her arms and breasts turning into great spikes to pin her arms to the wall. She sardonically complimented Nami on her weapon, but stated it didn't have much attack power behind it. Her lips morphed into a spike that jut from her face, but Nami was able to avoid being stabbed. She continued to tease Nami further, keeping a part of her staff away. She told her that this toy was weak, and its electricity was more harmless than the static on a coat. Nami stole it back and tried to use all 3 pieces together, but was only further frustrated that it made little water fountains. Miss Doublefinger transformed her hair into a great ball of sharp urchin spikes and charged at her. Nami was able to roll out of her path and was further frightened at the damage of her breaking a clean hole through a building. Miss Doublefinger told Nami that she was only showing off in response to her quote-unquote show, as she used her devil fruit to inject her arms and make them bigger and stronger. Before Nami was able to finish mixing her bubbles together, Miss Doublefinger attacked with more power, shattering a stone pillar and further causing injury to her legs. She successfully created a small cloud, but Miss Doublefinger ignored it and continued her assault. Nami threw out more hot and cold bubbles, deliberately missing her opponent to feed the cloud. Nami was slammed back, but before Miss Doublefinger could land a killing blow, her thundercloud struck her with lightning. Still standing and enraged, Miss Doublefinger tried to skewer Nami, but was tricked once again by a mirage of her. Nami prepared to use her next move, but before she was ready, Miss Doublefinger charged at her as Nami was forced to push her back with her foot, causing it to be impaled. Nami overcame her pain, thinking about how much Vivi had suffered. She unleashed her special move. At first, 2 small toy pigeons popped out, which was seemingly another harmless move. However, they began to wrap her around and spin, propelling Miss Doublefinger at a high velocity, making her crash to the walls of the building. Miss Doublefinger was knocked unconscious, and Nami won her first major victory. Later, the Straw Hats hurried to locate the bomb before it went off. Vivi figured out where the bomb was and had Usopp call the others together with a flare. She found it inside the clock tower, but Mr. Seven and Miss Father's Day of Baroque Works were there. Vivi defeated them, but realized the bomb couldn't be stopped so easily. Crocodile had made it a time bomb as a failsafe. Right before it detonated, Pell showed up and used his devil fruit power to take it into the atmosphere, where he seemingly sacrificed himself to save Alubarna. The rebel and royal armies continued to fight even after the bomb went off. It wasn't until it rained and Crocodile was revealed to be one behind the drought that the fighting stopped. The crew were later brought to the palace to rest, and a banquet was later thrown for them. They were then invited to enjoy the palace baths. Later that night, Mr. Chu Bonkure contacted them, telling them he prevented their ship from being taken by the Marines. During the journey back to their ship, Nami admitted to the others that she willingly gave up on the 1 billion berry that she previously demanded from Igaram to deliver Vivi to Arabasta for Vivi's sake. The next day, on the day of her speech, Vivi was to make a decision on whether or not she would stay with the crew. Meanwhile, Bonkure and his crew helped the crew escape from Hina so they could get to Vivi, who declined joining them for the sake of her country. Regardless, they all showed their X mark to signify that they would still consider her as one of them. After escaping from the Marines, Nico Robin appeared from inside of the Straw Hat's ship. She managed to persuade the crew to let her join since she had nowhere else to go. And she also bribed Nami with some of Crocodile's gems to get her on her good side. Let's not forget that. Jaya Arc. Nami's log pose began to point to the sky. After that, a big ship fell from the sky and the crew found a map on an island named Skypiea. Inside the 200-year-old ship, they competed with Masura's salvage crew while they searched for more clues on how to get to the Sky Island. The Straw Hats decided to go back to Jaya to look for information on Skypiea. Jaya's main town was full of famous pirates that were constantly brawling with each other. Nami forbids Zoro and Luffy from fighting, since she didn't want to bring about trouble in the area. Very soon, the trio had a run-in with a pirate known as Bell-mère the hyena, who ridiculed their dreams and beat up Luffy and Zoro, or rather, Luffy allowed him to, despite Nami taking back her earlier words of not fighting. Afterwards, Luffy, Zoro, and Nami met the man who was later revealed to be Blackbeard, who took the opposite position to Bellamy in terms of dreams. They left Mocktown and got into a fight with Masura's brother, Shoujo. After escaping from him, the Straw Hats met with Mont Blanc Cricket on another part of Jaya. Cricket was a descendant of Mont Blanc Nolan, an infamous liar who told of a gold city on Jaya, and Cricket was an outcast looking for artifacts of the gold city and may have known how to get into Skypiea. Cricket explained how the Straw Hats can ride a dangerous vertical current called the Knockup Stream to get to Skypiea. However, they first had to catch a southbird to point them towards the point where the stream will erupt from the ocean. While the Straw Hats were looking for a southbird, Bellamy and his crew attacked Cricket's house and stole the gold artifacts he had collected over the years from his salvage work. When the Straw Hats returned and saw what happened, Luffy decided to take a side trip to Mocktown, where he effortlessly defeated Bell-mère and took back gold. The Going Merry was refitted by Masura and Shoujo to be more flight capable. As the Straw Hats prepared to ride on the knock-up stream, Blackbeard and his crew arrived and revealed Luffy and Zoro's new bounties. Before Blackbeard could attack the Straw Hats, the Going Merry caught a ride on the knock-up stream for Skypiea Arc. After they arrived in the White Sea, the Straw Hats came across the Gate of Heaven. They were recommended by an old woman named Amazon to pay a 1 billion berry extol fee per person, but even though they hadn't paid, she let them pass. As they were carried up a speedy shrimp to the White Sea, they landed at a place that was surrounded by clouds. They then met and befriended a Skypiean named Konis. As their conversation continued about the waiver they had found, the White Barrettes, Skypiea's law enforcement, interrupted them and labeled them as criminals for illegal entry. As Zoro, Nami, Chopper, and Robin climbed aboard the ship, a Super Express speedy shrimp suddenly carried them off to a sacrificial altar in Upper Yard. Nami, Zoro, and Robin explored the land and discovered it to be a part of Jaya. As they went back to the ship, they saw Gonfall being treated by Chopper, who was injured in his battle against the priest, Shura. They spent a night on Upper Yard to prepare for their trek to the Skull's Right Eye, where the City of Gold was located. The next morning, Nami, Usopp, and Sanji remained on the ship with Gonfall, while the other Straw Hats went to the City of Gold. Gonfall explained to the three how an impact dial works. Enel, a powerful devil fruit user who claimed to be God, suddenly appeared and had a short conversation with Gonfall. After the conversation, Enel defeated Sanji and Usopp. He vanished and left Satori's brothers Hotori and Kotori to deal with the rest on the ship. Nami defeated Hotori while Kotori was defeated by Gonfall. Pagai and Konis arrived with a Shandia child named Isa. Isa tried to escape by jumping into the sea, and she was rescued by Nami shortly thereafter. As Nami and Isa talked to each other, they were chased by a giant snake, Nola, and ran to the middle of the forest. As they continued to proceed, they were swallowed by the snake together with Gonfall and his bird Pierre. Inside, they met up with Luffy, who had thought he was in a cave the whole time. Nami then smacked Luffy when she and the others realized that the reason Nola was acting so violent was because Luffy was hitting Nola's insides. As the snake fell, Nami and Gonfall managed to escape. Nami used her waiver and landed safely. The 6 left from Enel's survival game were Nami, Zoro, Robin, Gonfall, Wiper, and Enel himself. After everyone but Nami and Enel were wiped out due to fighting against Enel, Nami proclaimed that she would join Enel on his journey to the Fairyverse. Enel led Nami to his flying arc, Maxim. After they got on, Nami asked about the mantra ability, and Enel said that only he could use it to detect a specific person due to his Goro Goro no Mi abilities. A few minutes later, Luffy arrived to fight Enel. He put up a good fight, taking Enel by surprise with his immunity to lightning. However, he was defeated and kicked off the ship with a golden ball welded onto his arm. Shortly after, Nami rejected Enel's leadership and protection, provoking him to attack her. Nami used her climb attack to redirect Enel's lightning, but she was powerless against his stronger attacks. Right then, Usopp arrived to save her, and then Sanji arrived to save them both. Nami and Usopp escaped with the waiver, and they later came back for Sanji. Nami then took Luffy on her waiver to go up Giant Jack. They sent a message to the rest of the crew to cut down Giant Jack. Using the angle of the falling beanstalk, Luffy and Nami attempted to reach the Maxim. Enel attempted to sink Upper Yard to stop them, but Luffy managed to reach Enel and eventually defeated him. Later, they celebrated the ending of the 400-year war. The crew was awakened by Luffy to steal the gold. A group of Skypieans came to give them the giant gold post from the Golden Bell as a reward, but the crew mistook it as a giant cannon. They ran to their ship and managed to return to the Blue Sea with the help of Pagaya and Konis. Long Ring Long Land Arc. Nami participated in the first Davy Back Fight event, the Donut Race, along with Usopp and Nico Robin against Porche, Capote, and Monda. During the race, she demonstrated her astute navigation skills by easily guiding the raft through a coral reef, in spite of Foxy's interference, by using the eddies to carry the raft through. She also easily saw through all of Foxy's attempts to stall them, such as a fake detour sign, a fake emergency victim, and a fake finish line. Near the finish line, her team was on the verge of victory, only to be slowed down by Foxy's Noro Noro no Mi power, long enough to give him the victory. As a result, Chopper was taken by the Foxy Pirates, in part to weaken the Straw Hat Pirates' groggy ring team, since team members can't be replaced once teams are set, and also because of his cuteness. In the next event, the Groggy Ring, she helped Sanji and Zoro win by stealing the flagrantly biased referee's red card to prevent Sanji's disqualification, and then tricking him into blowing the finishing whistle once Sanji and Zoro scored to seal their victory. As a result, Chopper was reclaimed. After the Davy Back fight, the Straw Hats were confronted by Aokiji, one of the 3 admirals. Aokiji casually hit on her, asking if she was available, which sparked jealousy from Sanji. Aokiji revealed to the crew a little of Nico Robin's dark past, emphasizing that every organization she joined had been wiped out, leaving her as the only survivor. Nami and the rest of the crew tried their best to protect Robin, but she was effortlessly knocked aside by the Admiral. After Robin was frozen, Nami helped thaw her out after they escaped. Water 7 Arc. After the Going Merry narrowly escaped being hit by a sea train, the crew met an old woman, Kokoro, and her granddaughter, Chimney. Kokoro gave Luffy a poorly drawn map of Water 7. After the crew arrived at the island, Luffy, Nami, and Usopp bought boats driven by sea creatures called Yagara bulls. The three got strange greetings from the residents as they experienced the roller coaster-like channels of Water 7. They found out that some pirates had been beaten at the hands of some powerful shipwrights, the Galilog Company. They later had their gold exchanged for cash. At Dock 1, they met a man who resembled Usopp, Galilog's carpenter employment foreman, Kaku. After Kaku went to examine the Going Merry, they met Iceberg, the mayor of Water 7 and president of the Galilog Company, and his secretary, Khalifa. While they talked, 2 of the suitcases of money were stolen by the Frankie family, a group of bounty hunters and ship dismantlers. They then encountered Polly, one of the foremen who got their suitcase back while running from debt collectors. Khalifa showed Luffy, Nami, and Usopp around Dock 1 and told them how Iceberg founded the Galilog Company. Kaku returned from the Going Merry and told them that their ship's keel was irreparably damaged. Luffy refused to believe that Galilog could not repair the Going Merry and argued with them. He and Nami soon realized that Usopp was missing and the 2 briefcases that were returned to them were empty. Nami decided to head to the Frankie house and found Usopp lying on the ground after being mugged by the Frankie family. As she headed back to the ship for help, Usopp went to the Frankie house himself. Once they were back on the ship, Luffy had to finally tell Usopp that the Going Merry could no longer be repaired and that they chose to get a new ship without him. Nami then had to watch Luffy and Usopp having a falling out and later fighting each other in a duel. After Usopp lost the fight, the Straw Hats got a hotel room and left Usopp with the Merry. Nami went to the crew on the roof with urgent news, which was Iceberg getting shot. As the Galilog Company frantically searched for answers, Nami and Luffy decided to check on his condition, only to be met by closed gates. Frankie appeared then to exact his revenge on the Straw Hats for destroying the Frankie house and defeating the Frankie family. The Galilog Company ran outside and stopped Frankie and Luffy before telling them that they suspected the Straw Hats of the crime because Robin was one of the people who shot Iceberg. They then fought Luffy while some bystanders held Nami. Their fight was then interrupted by Frankie when he used his coup d'etat, allowing them to escape. Chopper reunited with the others without Sanji, and they discussed what happened. Luffy decided that, in order to know the full truth, they had to catch Robin. The Straw Hats, still missing Sanji, rushed to the Galilog building, where Robin and CP9 began a raid. The Straw Hats and Polly broke into the room where they found Iceberg, Robin, and CP9. Luffy and the others begged Robin to come back to the crew. She refused and told them that she couldn't accomplish her wish if she were to stay with them. Robin turned to leave while CP9 fought the Straw Hats. Robin successfully escaped, and Rob Lucci showed those remaining his Neko Neko no Mi, Model Leopard, ability. He quickly defeated the crew, throwing Luffy and Zoro out of the building, and CP9 tied up Polly and Iceberg, leaving them alone as the building slowly burned down around them. Nami was left unconscious outside the building. She woke up after Chopper rescued Iceberg and Polly from the burning building. Iceberg made it clear to Nami that Robin wanted to recover the blueprints for CP9 and turn herself in so they wouldn't initiate a buster call against the Straw Hats. Nami rushed to tell Chopper so they could go looking for the rest of the crew. Polly helped clear the name of the Straw Hats, but they didn't tell the mob of Galilog workers about Lucci, Kaku, and Khalifa. He got the mob to follow Chopper so they could search for the rest of the crew. Nami went her own way so she could rush to the sea train. By the time Nami reached the station, the train had left. Nami and the conductors were rescued by Polly when the Aqua Laguna flooded the main station. A man handed Nami a letter he found from Sanji. It informed her that Usopp, Frankie, and Sanji were on board the train that had just departed. Nami spoke with Kokoro and spotted Luffy, stuck between 2 buildings in the back streets where the Aqua Laguna was going to hit first. Nami finally reached Luffy and told him that he needed to hurry before Robin reached Enies Lobby. Luffy pushed apart the buildings he was stuck between, and Polly grabbed them all so they could escape the Aqua Laguna's massive wave. Seeing how determined Luffy was to save Robin, Kokoro and Iceberg loaned the Straw Hat crew the use of another sea train, Rocket Man. The Frankie family showed up, pleading with Luffy to let them join them because they wanted to rescue Frankie. Luffy accepted, and the Rocket Man finally made it out to sea, with the Frankie family close behind on Sodom and Gomorrah. It was revealed that the remaining foremen of the Galilog Company stowed away to take revenge for Iceberg. With a common goal, the Straw Hats, Frankie family, and Galilog Company formed an alliance. With a small effort from Luffy and Zoro, they passed through Aqua Laguna unscathed, and the passengers rejoiced. Sanji contacted the rest of the crew and filled them in on his current situation. Back in the Rocket Man, Luffy, Zoro, Nami, and Chopper changed their outfits, and Nami showed off the weapon Usopp upgraded for her while he was still with them. Those on the Rocket Man encountered some discarded cars from the Puffing Tom, and Zoro sliced them in half so they could pass. Zoro clashed with Ship Cutter T-Bone. The fight was short, and Zoro joined the crew again in the Rocket Man. Yokozuna the Frog jumped onto the front of the train, knocking them from the rails. After Kokoro spoke with him, he joined the group. Luffy and the others finally caught up to Sanji, Usopp, and the rest of the Frankie family as they neared Enies Lobby. Polly sat down with the group and talked about their plan. Predictably, Luffy didn't bother to follow the plan and slung himself beyond the gates before the train stopped. Post-Enies Lobby Arc. When they landed on Enies Lobby, Nami tried her new weapon, the perfect climb attack, on a group of Marines, making a very large thundercloud that also injured her allies. Together with the Straw Hats, they rode Sodom, but got knocked off by a mortar shell and later transferred to Gomorrah. When they reached the courthouse, they found that they were blocked by a group of Marines and Judge Baskerville. The Frankie family handled Baskerville, and they proceeded up the courthouse. As they waited for the Frankie family to activate the bridge, the Straw Hats lined up on the roof trying to convince Robin to accept their help. Robin finally agreed and said that she wanted to live after Luffy had Sogeking burn the world government's flag. When they saw that the bridge was only partially activated, Kokoro volunteered to help by using the Rocket Man. The train used the bridge as a ramp, and Nami and her crewmates were grabbed by Luffy, and they landed onto the Rocket Man. After entering the Tower of Justice, Fukuro showed up, declaring that a key was needed to uncuff Robin, and each agent held a different key. The crew decided to split up and search for the key. Nami confronted Kumadori and had a short conversation. She stole his key without him noticing, but couldn't escape from him. She was saved by Chopper, and after running, she ran into Sanji, who was just beaten by Khalifa. After finding out who Sanji's opponent was, Nami confronted her after blaming Sanji for his chivalry and being defeated. She started at a disadvantage after being made slippery by Khalifa's Awa Awa no Mi. After being heavily injured, Nami found the ability's weakness, which was water. After this realization, Khalifa started to use her Rokushiki techniques. Nami then generated a rainfall using her new climb attack and returned back to normal. She defeated Khalifa with a Thunder Lance tempo and grabbed the key. She was found by Frankie, and they saw that Chopper had gone berserk in his monster point. Though angry at Frankie for suggesting they kill Chopper, the two reached an agreement on what to do. By having Frankie shoot Chopper into the sea, which their location was also where Zoro and Sogeking were fighting Kaku and Jabra, it would allow them to nullify Chopper's Devil Fruit powers, and Frankie would go on to save Chopper from drowning. Also, as this event distracted Kaku and Jabra, Nami used the opponent to use the correct key to free Zoro and Sogeking from their sea stone handcuffs. Afterwards, Nami almost got caught up in a fight to save Sogeking from Jabra, but fortunately, Sanji showed up and decided to face Jabra himself. Nami then headed through the tunnel to chase after Nico Robin, where she was joined by Kokoro, Chimney, and an injured Chopper after Frankie passed Chopper off to them. Later, water started to flow through the passage they were in, so they ran. They caught up with Zoro, Sogeking, and Sanji, who were also running from the rushing water. They were saved by Kokoro, who turned out to be a mermaid, just like that. They found an escape ship and got on it, rejoining Robin and Frankie. They had to get off the escape ship to fight off the Buster Call while Luffy fought Lucci. Unfortunately, their escape ship was destroyed by the marine battleships. As Luffy defeated Lucci, their next problem was finding a way to escape. Nami and the other Straw Hats all heard a voice telling them to jump into the sea. Do it. They realized that the voice came from the Going Merry, and together they jumped into the sea, boarded the Merry, and finally escaped. With the Going Merry, everyone had managed to escape Enies Lobby safely. Iceberg arrived in a Galila Company ship just in time to pick up the Straw Hat Pirates as the Merry suddenly broke apart. Luffy then gave the Going Merry a Viking funeral as the crew tearfully said goodbye. Never thought you could cry for a boat, a big boat, but here we are. Post-Enies Lobby Arc. Nami was present when Frankie revealed his intention of building a new ship for the crew, which delighted her. When Marine Vice Admiral Monkey D. Garp arrived, Nami was shocked to learn that he is Luffy's grandfather, before recognizing him as a Marine hero who fought the Pirate King. After Garp revealed that Luffy's father was present at Loguetown when they were there, she was curious as to who he was, but became immensely shocked to learn that the revolutionary Monkey D. Dragon is his father. She then told the clueless Luffy that his father is a very dangerous man. Nami was later seen lounging by a pool while using a Denden Mushi to eavesdrop on Luffy and Kobe's conversation about military technology, such as putting sea stone on the bottom of marine ships, in order to discover how ships could cross the calm belt. When she heard them laughing and catching up on old times, she stopped listening to the conversation to give them some privacy. Later, she went to the victory party with the other Straw Hats, and Polly complained about her swimsuit being too revealing. After the party, she was upset to see that so much of the 100 million berry had been spent on the party, and she beat up Luffy over it. She was disappointed over not being able to buy furniture, but quickly forgot about it while going with Robin to shop for clothes. Later, the Frankie family showed the Straw Hats their new wanted posters. Nami received her first bounty, 60 million berry. Out of all of the Straw Hats, she was the only one who complained about receiving a bounty, though not the only one to complain at all. She said that the photographer told her that he was a Water 7 reporter, so she willingly posed. During the discussion over Usopp's plan to return, Nami argued that Usopp should be allowed to return after Zoro raised his objections, but relented when Sanji and Luffy agreed with Zoro that Usopp needed to apologize first. When the crew was trying to escape Garp's attack, she and the rest of the crew, minus Chopper, ignored Usopp's attempts to communicate with them. When the cowardly sniper got down on his knees and finally gave a tearful apology, Nami smiled. After escaping Garp, they celebrated the return of Robin and Usopp and their new crew member, Frankie. Thriller Bark Arc. After sailing for some time on the Thousand Sunny, Nami and the rest of the crew came across a mysterious barrel floating on the ocean. Upon opening it, a flash shot up from it. A mysterious storm then came out of nowhere. Using her skills as navigator, Nami navigated the ship out of harm's way. She and the crew then found themselves in the presence of a ghost ship. Wanting to explore for treasure, Nami decided to tag along with Luffy, who wanted to explore the ship. Sanji decided to go with them in order to keep an eye on Nami. There, they met a skeleton named Brook, whose rude behavior left a very bad impression on Nami, but amused Luffy. Luffy then asked Brook to join his crew, as he does with people he always meets, a request that the skeleton accepted. This shocked both Nami and Sanji. After climbing back down to the Thousand Sunny, the crew decided to have dinner. Over dinner, Nami learned of the skeleton's past. Just as Brook was about to perform for the Straw Hats after dinner, a ghost appeared, and some clanking sounds were heard. These sounds were caused by the closing gates of the island that suddenly appeared, Thriller Bark. These events prompted Brook to head to the island. With Luffy's resolve to go to the island, Nami couldn't stop him. At that moment, Frankie then decided to show the crew a little present. The Mini Mary 2. This pleased the crew so much that Nami decided to take it out for a test drive with Chopper and Usopp. However, while sailing on the little boat, Nami and her companions accidentally bumped into the moat of Thriller Bark and fell from the Mini Mary 2. There, the three met the Cerberus, which chased them until they hid in a tree. In the tree, the three met Hilden, who decided to take them to meet Dr. Hogback, much to Chopper's delight. After riding a carriage with Hilden through the woods filled with all sorts of stitched-up creatures, Nami and her companions were left in the middle of a cemetery. There, they were attacked by some zombies, which they luckily escaped from. They then came across Hogback's mansion and met with the doctor and his maid, Sindri. After dinner with the doctor, in which the three asked about Brook, Nami decided to take a bath. However, during her bath, she was attacked by an invisible being. Luckily, Usopp came into the bathroom and drove it away after seeing Nami naked. After the incident in the bathroom, Nami and her companions found out that the paintings and stuffed trophies in the dining room were all zombies. Fortunately, the three escaped through a secret door before the zombies could catch them. Beyond the secret door, Nami and her companions found themselves in a room filled with Sindri's pictures. Through a newspaper article that Nami found, the three learned that Sindri was an actress that died 10 years ago. Just as they were about to leave, the three stumbled across a treasure chest. However, inside the chest was a horrific jack-in-the-box that frightened the three out of the room. As the three were running through the hallways of the mansion from more painting zombies, a mysterious bodyguard decided to chase them. Eventually, Nami, Usopp, and Chopper overheard Hogback talking about his plan to create Oars, the strongest zombie. The trio then confronted Hogback and were attacked by Sindri before encountering Hogback's bodyguard, Ryuma, whom Nami noticed had the same laugh as Brook before he defeated all of them. When they woke up, the three fled, fighting a group of zombie bodyguards. During the battle, Nami was captured by Absalom, the invisible man who wanted to marry her. After being taken away, she was given sleeping pills and dressed in a white wedding gown. Sanji arrived and gained the upper hand against Absalom before being stabbed from behind. As Sanji was injured, Absalom seized Nami, made her invisible, and escaped to complete his wedding. When Absalom was about to kiss her, Nami regained consciousness and then attempted to evade his kiss. Lola, a zombie who Nami had befriended by lying about her gender, then arrived, initially attacking Nami for being chosen as Absalom's bride before attacking Absalom to allow her to escape. Absalom shot Lola down with his invisible bazooka, but Nami then defeated him with one hit of her thunder charge, Swing Arm, not realizing that he had been weakened from his fight with Sanji. Lola then revealed that she always knew Nami was a woman. On her way out, Nami passed over Frankie's bridge and found Perona loading treasure onto the Thousand Sunny in an attempt to escape. Perona planned on attacking Nami, but the warlord Bartholomew Kuma arrived and apparently teleported Perona away when she attempted to attack him. He then asked Nami if Luffy had a brother, and she said he did in a panic, and Kuma left her alone. Nami finally arrived at the battle against Oars and Moria right at the time Frankie was stormed by Oars. One by one, the Straw Hat members were incapacitated, except for her and Usopp. As Oars was about to beat them, Luffy saved them with his new form, Nightmare Luffy, which allowed him to seriously injure Oars and Moria. Lola's crew caught up to Luffy's crew and started to help the injured Straw Hats and Brook. Oars then managed to stand up again, which led to all of the Straw Hats using team tactics in order to break Oars' spine, permanently incapacitating him. However, Moria awakened and emerged, and after a brief speech, used Shadow's Asgard to increase his power. Using both Gear's second and third, Luffy finally defeated Moria and fainted from exhaustion. This victory gave everyone their shadows back and left Moria unconscious but alive. Nami then remembered Kuma was on the island and told everyone. Meanwhile, Kuma reported that Moria had failed to defeat Luffy and was badly wounded. Kuma was then ordered to kill everyone on Thriller Bark and evacuate the wounded Moria. He then fought the Straw Hats briefly, revealing his Nikyo Nikyo no Mi abilities and injuring several of them. However, instead of outright killing everyone as his orders said, he offered offered everyone a deal. Let him have Luffy's head, and he would leave everyone alone. The Straw Hats and everyone else on the island refused, and Kuma set off his bomb-like Ursus shock that badly wounded everyone. Unbeknownst to most of the crew, Zoro persuaded Kuma to leave Luffy alone and accepted all the pain and fatigue Luffy had gathered in return. Soon after, Nami joined everyone in a celebratory party at Thriller Bark, save for Zoro, who was still recovering from his wounds. He's always recovering from his wounds. Led by Brook and his piano. Luffy finally revealed to Brook that he was friends with Brook's former crewmate, Laboon. Brook stopped partying, cried, and revealed a tone dial that had the last song the Arlong Pirates ever performed together on it. Luffy once again offered Brook to be part of the Straw Hats, and Nami joined the others in a shocked response. After the funeral of Brook's shipmates, Nami received a gift from Lola, which was a Weatheria card of Lola's mother. Luffy mentions he had a similar card of Port Gusty Ace. When the card he had was revealed to be burning, Lola told him that Ace was in danger. When Nami asked Luffy about saving Ace, he declined and said that Ace would take care of himself. The Straw Hat crew, now including Brook, then left Thriller Bark. Sabaody Archipelago Arc. When the crew reached the halfway point of the Grand Line, Nami looked at her log pose. It was pointing down, meaning that Fishman Island was right below them. Luffy, Robin, and Brook took the Shark Submerged 3 to look in the depths, only to find a rabbit-like sea beast. Luffy defeated it, causing it to spit out a mermaid, Kami, and a starfish, Papag. Nami was surprised to see a mermaid. Kami then told the crew that her friend named Hachin had been captured and asked to help her rescue him. Nami told Kami that they would rescue him if she could find a way to get to Fishman Island. At the kidnappers' hideout, a trap was being set, and the captive was locked in a cage. When the crew saw that it was Hachan, a fishman from Arlong's crew, 5 of the Straw Hats were not happy to see him. Despite all this, Nami agreed to free Hachan from his situation. Kami tried to free him herself, only to be captured by the Macro Pirates. Luffy then rescued Kami, and the crew battled the Flying Fish Riders. They eventually freed Hachan, and he easily defeated the Macro Pirates. After the battle, the leader Duval attacked the Straw Hat crew in his anger, and Sanji soon defeated him. They then had a victory party, and Hachan nervously asked Nami about his takoyaki. She said that she still hasn't forgiven him from before, but tried some anyway and told him that they were quite good. After arriving at Sabaody Archipelago, the crew went to search for a man who Kami said would help with getting their ship to Fishman Island. When Nami saw some shopping malls, she went there with Robin to go shopping. She was listening to Robin talking about some history concerning fishmen, and when Robin finished her explanation, Frankie came and warned them that Kami had been captured and was being sold as a slave. When she and Frankie arrived at the auction house at Grove 1, Frankie thought of getting Kami back by force. Nami thought it would be easier to play by the rules by buying Kami back with the money they had. However, that plan was thwarted when St. Charlos made a higher bid, and thus Kami was sold, angering Hachan. At that moment, Luffy and the rest of the Rosy Life Riders arrived. Hachan tried to stop Luffy from causing a scene that would anger the world nobles, but St. Charlos shot Hachan in hopes he could have another slave for free. Having heard the stories of discrimination against fishmen, Nami was feeling upset for Hachan, but not as upset as Kami was as she saw her friend getting shot. In retaliation, Luffy punched St. Charlos. The auction house went silent and everyone fled except for Eustace Kid and Trafalgar Law, who were amused by Luffy's actions. Hachan was surprised to see Luffy defending him, and Nami forgave Luffy for being himself as usual. The World Nobles Guard then attacked the Straw Hats. When Charlos' sister, Shalria, threatened to kill Kami, she was stopped when an old man rendered her unconscious. The man proceeded to knock out the World Nobles' guard using a power called Haki, and then removed the collar around Kami's neck. After that, the auction house was surrounded by the Marines, who were easily defeated by Luffy, Kid, and Law. Everyone made their escape with Nami using Thunderbolt Tempo. After their escape, the Straw Hats went to Shaki's Ripoff Bar to recuperate, and Silver's Rayleigh told them that he was part of Gold Rogers' crew. His mentioning that Buggy was in Gold Rogers' crew along with Shanks caused Nami and Zoro to recall their unpleasant encounters with him in the East Blue. Rayleigh told the Straw Hats that he needed at least 3 days to coat the Thousand Sunny, so he gave all of them Weatheria cards to locate him as he planned to move the ship in order to hide it from the Marines. After the Straw Hats departed Shaki's Ripoff Bar and said their farewells to Shaki, Kami, Papag, and Hachan, they were soon confronted by someone who appeared to be Bartholomew Kuma. After fighting him for a short time, the Straw Hats realized that they might not be fighting the real Kuma, but rather a pacifista replica, as he had not used any of his Nikyu no Mi abilities and shot lasers from his hands instead. Despite knowing he wasn't the real one, the Straw Hats still had difficulty injuring his body, which was harder than steel. When the pacifista spotted Nami and attempted to fire at her with a mouth beam, Robin pounded his mouth shut with her powers, causing the beam to damage the pacifista. Nami took advantage of this opening by firing a Thunder Lance tempo right through his torso, doing enough damage to make it go berserk. The rest of the fight was left to Sanji, Zoro, and Luffy as they were able to take down the pacifista. After the fight, most of the Straw Hats were left exhausted, but the arrival of Sentomaru and another pacifista, PX-1, forced them to flee. The crew split up, with Nami going with Sanji and Frankie, but the pacifista intercepted them. Kizaru arrived and attacked Zoro, easily dominating the fight. In the nick of time, Silver's Rayleigh arrived and deflected the finishing blow, buying some time for Luffy to yell to his crew to escape, with the plan being to lay low, survive for 3 days, and rendezvous at the Thousand Sunny. However, before this plan could be carried out, the real Bartholomew Kuma arrived, and, using his powers, picked off the Straw Hats one by one. Nami pleaded for her captain to help right before Kuma sent her flying somewhere far, far away. Straw Hat's separation adventure. After being sent flying for 3 days, Nami had landed on a small sky island called Weatheria, where the study of weather was conducted. A local man named Haredas took her in and cared for her. She was later seen crying, stating that she wanted to go home. In order to cheer her up, Haredas showed Nami a special knot that caused wind to blow when pulled. Unamused, Nami took her frustration out on him. Later on, the two were seen together as Nami observed Haredas doing business with people on the surface world. During this time, Haredas showed Nami weather science. Post-War Arc. Later, Nami was imprisoned by the scientists for attempting to steal their experiments and information. Upon reading about Ace's death in the newspaper, she broke down sobbing, understanding the heartbreak that Luffy had gone through. Seeing this, the scientists freed her, but it turned out to be a ruse and she managed to escape by taking Haredas hostage. While running, she noted that Luffy had always been there to support his crew to the best of his ability during the darkest hours, so now it was their time to return the favor. Her still flowing tears caused Haredas to note that her fake tears were still flowing, prompting Nami to blush and suddenly snap back at him. While she and Haredas were escaping, she read the article about Luffy returning to Marineford and got frustrated at him for not thinking about the crew and only himself. Later, she was caught by the scientists, who reprimanded her, but she cried crocodile tears to make the scientists apologize. She ran off, saying that she forgave them and that she wanted a house to live in. Shortly afterwards, she was informed by Haredas of the new world's strange weather. Thus, Nami decided that she had to learn all about it to be able to help her reckless captain, reminiscing about her past experiences with him all the while. She asked Haredas to teach her about the weather ball, but he said that if it was used improperly, it would plunge the world into chaos. Nami then asked about the possibility of using it as a weapon. Return to Sabaody Arc. After 2 years studying on Weatheria, Nami returned to Sabaody Archipelago. At a bar, where a group pretending to be the Straw Hats was recruiting crew members, Nami learned that Marine headquarters had been relocated due to the decision of Sengoku's successor. When the fake Luffy had his sights on Nami, she casually rejected him. The fake Nami then threatened her, but Usopp arrived and repelled the fake Straw Hat crew with his new Pop Green weapon. Nami was overjoyed to see Usopp again, and commented that Usopp had become more manly after giving Usopp a hug. Nami then created a thundercloud and left the bar with Usopp. They were next seen having a conversation elsewhere. Nami and Usopp then ran into Chopper, who was searching for quote-unquote Rob. After telling Chopper that the Straw Hats he encountered were fakes, they returned to the Thousand Sunny. There, they got reacquainted with Robin, Frankie, Rayleigh, and Shaki. As Frankie amazed Usopp and Chopper with his new upgrades, Nami commented on Frankie's unusual body. Rayleigh then said he was going to teach Nami how to operate a coded ship, pleasantly surprised when she heard from Rayleigh that Luffy was already at the archipelago. After the ship arrived at Grove 42, Brook soon boarded the ship. Brook then asked Nami if he could see her panties again after 2 years. Nami responded by kicking him across the ship, commenting that she didn't show him her panties 2 years earlier either. She also commented that none of the others had matured in 2 years. After the monster trio arrived with the help of Chopper and a giant bird, Nami greeted them all. When Luffy started admiring Frankie's new body, Nami pulled him away while telling him that there were marine ships nearby. Nami saw the Kuja Pirate ship along with the rest of the crew, and Robin informed her about the Kuja Pirates. Nami was then surprised to find out that Luffy knew Boa Hancock and that Luffy was sent to Amazon Lily. Nami then explained how the ship was going to sail underwater, and said that they needed to raise the sails when Frankie released the floats. Luffy asked Nami if they were ready to set sail, to which she replied that they were, and with that, she was seen cheering with the rest of the crew as the ship set sail for Fishman Island. Fishman Island Arc. Nami, along with the crew, marveled at the underwater scenery. She was then asked by Sanji to explain what they needed to know about a coded ship. As she replied, Sanji got a massive nosebleed. After Sanji was saved by Luffy, Nami started explaining about the coded ship. She then sat down and ate one of Luffy's Kuja lunchboxes as Frankie explained how their ship was kept safe for 2 years by Kuma. The Caribou Pirates caught up with the Straw Hats and prepared for battle. After Caribou set foot on the Thousand Sunny, Nami recognized the sea cow, which turned out to be Momu. Momu fled in fear after seeing Nami, Sanji, and Luffy leaving Caribou behind. The Straw Hats then tied up Caribou as he begged for mercy. With that settled, Nami then explained the underwater currents and the right path to take, but most of the other Straw Hats quickly lost interest in Nami's explanation, much to her annoyance. When they reached the underwater waterfall, the crew encountered the Kraken. Much to Nami's dismay, Luffy insisted on taming the sea monster. Nami screamed in terror when she witnessed the Kraken destroying Caribou's ship. Nami suggested Frankie use the coup de burst to escape the Kraken, but Frankie said that it'll make the ship's bubble shrivel. The monster trio then equipped themselves with Flutterkick coating, fought the Kraken out in the sea, and defeated it, as Nami was amazed at their improved strength. However, because the monster trio weren't wearing any lifelines, they got separated from Nami and the rest of the crew as the ship went down the underwater current. After reaching 7,000 meters below the surface, the crew encountered more sea monsters. Nami, along with the rest of the crew, was spooked by all the deep sea creatures. When it came to light that Caribou had managed to escape, she started to get worried, though he was quickly captured by Frankie. As it started to get hotter, Nami realized that they were near undersea volcanoes and told the crew to steer away from them. However, they soon saw light in the ocean, which they approached before realizing that they were headed straight into the jaws of the Sea Devil. They were saved thanks to Anyudo, who quickly revealed himself to be an enemy. Then a ghost ship appeared, scaring her along with Chopper, Usopp, and Brook. They quickly found out that the ghost ship was in fact the Flying Dutchman, led by Captain Vanderdecken 9. As they were about to be attacked by the Anyudo, they were saved thanks to the newly tamed Tsurume. However, just as soon as the crew was once again reunited, the sea started rumbling, with Nami confirming that an undersea volcano was about to erupt. Nami ordered Luffy to tell Tsurume to get far away from the volcano. However, Tsurume was already running away. She seemed pleased that they were able to escape, but then noticed that the magma was running down the side of the volcano to the ocean floor, and that the currents were swirling due to the temperature differences. She said that they needed to go a little farther to make it into a specific trench. When Frankie saw something above the ship, Nami realized that it was a rock slide caused by the volcano, effectively destroying the trench. When they reached the bottom of the trench, there was a bright light emanating from an island. Nami confirmed with the log pose that they had arrived at Fishman Island. She then told Luffy to stop thinking about the food on the island and help her search for an entrance. When Hammond and the new Fishman Pirates showed up, Nami looked uncomfortable seeing the tattoo of the Arlong Pirates on his neck. Hammond gave the crew two options: join the new Fishman Pirates or die. Not very much. Options kinda slim there, guys. Knowing that Luffy would reject Hammond's offer to join the new Fishman Pirates, she told Frankie to refuel the ship. She said that they didn't stand a chance against the Fishmen, as the water pressure was too strong. She then told Frankie about her plan to use the last of the ship's air in a coup de burst to get away from the pirates and charge right into Fishman Island. Hammond didn't take kindly to Luffy's rejection and prepared to attack the Thousand Sunny. Frankie activated coup de burst and the ship flew through the bubbles surrounding Fishman Island. The ship then fell into a current and the Straw Hats were separated. Nami remained with Frankie and Robin after their entrance to Fishman Island. They then separated to do different things. Nami decided to do some shopping. She eventually made her way to Papag's mansion. She then went shopping in the criminal clothing store in the first floor. Nami complained about the expensive prices and bargained with a store clerk to lower the prices. She then reunited with Luffy, Usopp, Brook, Papag, and Kami. Nami scolded Papag for the high prices and demanded a discount. However, Papag decided to let Nami and her friends have anything they want for free. After hearing this joyful news, the pirates quickly emptied the store, much to Papag's dismay. They then heard a commotion outside the store and they found that King Neptune had arrived to meet them. Nami and the others were then invited by the king to Ryugu Palace. The Straw Hats, Kami, and Papag rode on Megalo and Neptune rode on Hoei, as he called to them not to fall off. Luffy asked Nami if she knew where the others went. Nami told them that Frankie went to look for one of Tom's relatives and Robin went to look up some important history, so the three split up. She told them that they didn't really have too many problems. Nami then asked Neptune a question, calling him Grandpa, causing Papag to bite her on the head and tell her to call him God of the Sea, Master Neptune. She asked why Fishman Island was so bright despite being 10,000 meters below the surface. Neptune told her that Fishman Island came to be when fishmen began living on the seafloor where there was light. He explained that the roots from a tree called Sunlight Tree, Eve, reached down to the seafloor and transferred light to Fishman Island. Upon arriving at the palace, everyone looked at it in awe, and Nami marveled at its beauty. After entering the castle, Luffy wandered off in search for food, as usual, and Nami wonders where Luffy went. After receiving word of the mysterious disappearances of the mermaids from Mermaid Cove and of Madame Charlie's ominous prediction, the palace guards and personnel took action against the Straw Hats. Nami, Usopp, and Brook battled against the attacking guards. Nami, surprised to see Zoro, who was locked up a while ago, joined the fight. The Straw Hats eventually subdued and tied up the king, the ministers, and the royal guards. While her crewmates were having a little argument, Nami said to herself that she was enjoying the peace, sightseeing, and shopping. She then asked the guard to tell her the location of the treasury, much to Usopp's annoyance. When Nami asked why, with an innocent-looking face, Usopp became more annoyed. After Zoro said that they should leave Fishman Island, Nami informed the group that the log post wasn't working like it used to. The minister of the left stated that the log post wouldn't work in the new world. The minister then offered to provide them with information if they untie him. The three princes of the Neptune family returned to the palace only to find it under the control of the Straw Hats. Since the princes were unable to enter, Fukaboshi spoke with Zoro through a Dendenmushi. While Zoro was making demands, Nami asked for 1 billion berry, annoying Usopp once again. Nami then listened to Fukaboshi as he revealed Jinbei's message. After hearing noises coming from the Shirahoshi's room, Neptune begged the Straw Hats to check up on the princess to ensure her safety. Brook instantly dashed off to her location while carrying the Minister of the Right. When they returned, the minister informed Neptune of Shirahoshi's disappearance, and Brook yelled that pirates, pawns of Hody Jones, were invading the palace. Nami and Zoro acted calm while Usopp panicked. After Zoro defeated the pirates, Neptune demanded that Shirahoshi be returned to him. When Neptune suspected that she left with Luffy, Nami stated that Luffy wouldn't kidnap anyone and told the king to place his suspicions on someone else. During this conversation, one of the pirates managed to open the connection corridor. Nami and the others then encountered Hody Jones and Vanderdecken the Ninth. Decken then learned from Neptune that Shirahoshi was no longer in the palace and quickly went after her. Nami noticed that Hody Jones had an Arlong tattoo and went off to an unknown location. She was later seen wearing an air bubble around her head while clinging to Kami's back. She asked Kami a little about Jinbei as she remembered that he used to be in the same crew that Arlong was in before he founded the Arlong Pirates. Nami explained that she thought she understood what Jinbei meant by his message, "Don't fight Hody." She also thought that the history with Arlong and Hody runs deep and wanted to ask Jinbei about it. She then asked Kami to take her to the Sea Forest. Nami and Kami soon arrived at the Sea Forest and met Luffy, Shirahoshi, Jinbei, Hachan, Frankie, Chopper, and Sanji. Nami informed everyone about Hody Jones's raid on the Ryukyu Palace. Nami then listened to Jinbei as he revealed that he was the one responsible for allowing Arlong to run wild in the East Blue. When Sanji offered some tea, Nami brushed him off, saying that they were in the middle of a serious conversation. Before Jinbei gave his explanation, Nami reminisced about her suffering under Arlong's tyranny. She stated that while she had no intention of forgiving Arlong, she noticed something during her time on Sabaody Archipelago. Sabaody Park resembled Arlong Park. After that, Nami listened to Jinbei as he explained the fishmen and merfolk's dark past, as well as the backstories of Queen Otohime and Fisher Tiger. After Jinbei finished his story, he stated that he would take any punishment Nami desired. Nami showed no resentment towards Jinbei since Arlong was the one to blame. She also said that she didn't hate fishmen as a whole. Nami simply stated she could trust him since he was a friend of Luffy. When Jinbei began to cry, she took pity on him, knowing how hard it must have been for him. She then had a friendly conversation with Shirahoshi. Nami commented that Otohime was a great mother, and Shirahoshi was glad to hear it. Shirahoshi explained that she had a tendency to cry whenever she thought about her mother, and mentioned that she felt strangely comfortable around Nami. Nami replied that it's because they had similar pasts and understood each other. When Hachan was about to reveal Hody's plan, a visual Dendenmushi appeared and the group watched Hody's speech to Fishman Island. When Hody showed the chained-up king, Nami remarked on how the other Straw Hats, mainly Zoro, caused the king to be captured. Jinbei expressed shock at the news, but Kami explained that it was a big misunderstanding and that the Straw Hats were attacked first. Hody then addressed the Straw Hats pirates and showed the imprisoned Zoro, Usopp, and Brook. Nami and the others were shocked at the turn of events. When Luffy expressed joy after learning of his 400 million berry bounty from Hody, Nami scolded Luffy. Nami then watched Luffy and Jinbei settle their dispute on how to deal with Hody. Jinbei eventually came up with a plan. When Jinbei mentioned that someone would have to steal the Celestial Dragon's letter away from Hody, Nami volunteered to do it, saying that she was the best person for the job. She traveled to Gyeoncord Plaza while invisible, and stole the world noble's letter from the new Fishman Pirates. After Luffy saved the king from certain death, Nami revealed herself. Nami then stood with the rest of the Straw Hats preparing to fight against the new Fishman Pirates. Nami gave the world noble's letter to Shirahoshi. When Frankie confirmed a new weapon in the soldier dock, Nami got in it, along with Usopp, Chopper, and Papag, and waited for the door to open. She then rode out in the Brachio Tank 5 in the cockpit with Usopp and Papag, and explained that the cockpit expanded when they pulled a lever. Unfortunately, the tank crashed into a pitfall, knocking Nami around inside the cockpit, after which Frankie pushes her and the others out. When the tank transformed into General Frankie, Chopper and Usopp were amazed, while Nami just blankly stared at it unimpressed. A lone fishman pirate tried to attack her from behind, thinking her to be weak. She blocked his sword swipes with her sorcery climb attack, telling him not to underestimate the power of Weatheria's weather signs. She defeated him with her gust sword attack. At a later point, Watatsumi, who was attacked by Jinbei, fell next to Nami. When the wind pressure got intense, Sanji came in and protected her by kicking Watatsumi. Nami was then seen emitting several dark-colored balls in a line from her climb attack. The pirates wondered if she was a witch, to which she replied that they could call her Miss Magician, but in reality, her attack was carefully calculated chemistry. She then electrocuted the pirates around her by swinging her staff, performing an attack called Black Ball Ryan Rod. Ikaros got enraged at Nami for using an attack that burned, and decided to target her. Zou turned invisible and grabbed her ankles, holding her in place while Ikaros came up to stab her with a spear. As Nami asked for help, Brook appeared between her and Ikaros and took the hit from the spear. Luckily, the spear had no effect on him because he was already dried up. After Frankie punched away Ikaros, Brook stepped on Zou and revealed him, showing Nami why she couldn't move earlier. After all the leaders of the new Fishman pirates had been defeated, Nami and the other Straw Hats looked up into the sky as Luffy tried to destroy Noah. When the Sea King stopped Noah from falling, saving the ship and the island at the same time, everyone on Fishman Island celebrated. While the crew is resting after the battle, Nami is looking at the sky with concern, trying to find Luffy. When Luffy appeared in the hands of Shirahoshi after they got back down to the ground and that he needed a blood transfusion, Nami was shocked to learn about the old law forbidding humans and fishmen from sharing blood. She then watches as Chopper performs the blood transfusion on Luffy and Jinbei and is happy to see Luffy regain consciousness. While traveling through the air on the Sunny, she's annoyed when she hears Zoro use the same logic Luffy did as to why he doesn't want to be a hero. She then redirects her attention to Luffy, who's trying to convince Jinbei to join the crew. She then goes to the banquet at Ryugu Palace, where she's captivated by Maria Napoli's singing voice, and then cheering when the Mermaid Cafe dancers arrive. She's later seen celebrating a victory over Fukaboshi in a drinking contest. Sometime after, Nami's sitting off to one side with Chopper, Zoro, Sanji, and Usopp. She tells Luffy that she drank too much and is trying to sober up. She then listens to Jinbei's summation of what happened to the world powers during the last 2 years. She then remembers meeting the Blackbeard pirates in Mocktown, when Jinbei tells them that Blackbeard became an emperor. She follows Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji to Shirahoshi's room, and after Luffy dispatched Caribou, she asks the Minister of the Right about the thief and is appalled to hear that all the treasures in the palace was stolen. She asks Neptune why he's not going after the thief, and Neptune answers that the treasure isn't important considering that the lives of Fishman Island have been saved. He even tells Nami that the crew can have it all as he's in their debt. She then yells at Luffy and Zoro, asking why they couldn't have just tied Caribou up instead of sending him flying. Nami then throws the monster trio out of the palace so they can pursue Caribou. When the trio return to the palace, Nami learns that they give the treasures to Big Mom, and Nami beats them up for it. When the time comes for the Straw Hats to leave Fishman Island, the Minister of the Left gives Nami a new log pose which will help them navigate in the new world. As the Minister of the Left explains the properties behind it, Luffy overhears it and wishes to go to the scariest island out there, causing Nami to strangle him and tell him to listen to her as to where they go. As everyone on Fishman Island bid the Straw Hats farewell, the Thousand Sunny sails towards the new world. On their way to the new world, Nami decides to take a shower using her new shower tempo. She remarks how she missed having luxurious baths on Sunny during those 2 years. Later, when Sunny was getting sucked by the White Storm, Nami rushed the deck and informed everyone to take the ship away from the current, but it was too late. Finally, the Straw Hats entered the new world, and Nami was seen among them remarking on the violent weather of the new world. Punk Hazard Arc. Soon after entering the new world, the crew spots an island surrounded by a sea of flames. The Straw Hats then receive a distress call from someone who seems to be in trouble and mentions something about a samurai. When Luffy decides to rescue the person, Nami forms a road of clouds that will enable him to reach the island. After Usopp, Luffy, Zoro, and Robin arrive at the island on the Mini-Mary 2, Nami comments to Frankie that the clouds on the opposite side of the island appear to be winter clouds. While Usopp, Robin, Luffy, and Zoro fight a dragon, Nami and the remaining crew members on the Thousand Sunny are knocked out by sleeping gas. They, except for Brook, are then abducted by 3 individuals wearing hazmat suits. The captured Straw Hats later wake up in a cell and find parts of Kinemon's still living head. After putting the pieces of the head back together, the group gets information from the samurai. Once they decide to break out, Frankie uses his Frankie Radical Beam to blast a hole in the wall, allowing the crew to escape. They run through the halls of the complex and stumble upon a room filled with children of various sizes. The children are excited to see them, but Sanji just wants to escape the room before they're recaptured. While the pursuers come after them, the children beg the pirates to help them escape. Nami couldn't ignore their cries and decides to help them. Sanji, Frankie, and Chopper then attack the men in the gas masks. Nami and Chopper run away with the children while Sanji and Frankie hold the enemy back. As they run, the children tell Nami and Chopper how they were abducted and that they were inflicted with some kind of disease. Nami's suspicious and tells Chopper to later investigate the children. They then run into a room filled with corpses, frozen in the walls, floors, and ceiling. Frightened, the group escapes and meets up with Frankie, Sanji, and the head of the samurai. They all then run out of the building and into the shocked view of the Marines of G5, Smoker, Tashigi, and Law. They immediately turn around and try to find another exit to avoid any combat. As they're running, Law uses his ability to rearrange the personalities of the Straw Hat Pirates, putting Nami in Frankie's body and Sanji in Nami's body. After reuniting with Luffy's group, they take shelter in the laboratory ruin. Sanji then begins to act rather indecently, causing Nami and Frankie's body to attack him. When the children ask Nami to show off some of Frankie's cyborg functions, she states that she's not going to do that. The Straw Hats then tie up Brownbeard and bring each other up to speed on the current situation. They then interrogate Brownbeard and learn about a man known as Caesar Clown. Kinemon later leaves the group to find his torso, and Brook and Sanji volunteer to go search with him while having perverted thoughts. Nami makes Zoro go with them so they, especially Sanji, wouldn't do anything indecent to her body. Before long, several of the giant children start to feel pain, causing Nami to ask Chopper, in Sanji's body, whether they were sick, which Chopper replies in the negative. After learning that the children's daily candy was actually dosed with drugs to make them addicted and forcing them to stay in the lab, one of the kids suddenly went berserk, much to the Straw Hats and the smaller children's shock. Usopp managed to put the children to sleep, and the giant ones are then tied up. Luffy then decides to help the children, and that they should start by heading into the lab. Chopper, in Sanji's body, and Nami chose to stay behind. When Frankie, in Chopper's body, suggests that they try to find a way to unscramble themselves, Luffy just says that they should stay the way they were, which causes Nami to snap at her captain. Meanwhile, Sanji, in Nami's body, is found unconscious next to giant footprints along with Brook and Zoro. Luffy, Usopp, Frankie, and Robin then leave Chopper and Nami to watch the children while they head to Caesar's lab. While they're gone, the Yeti Cool brothers attack. Nami then demands Brownbeard to explain who they're up against. Brownbeard gives her a brief profile on the brothers, and one of them appears and shoots him. They then kidnap Nami on Caesar Clown's orders. As Luffy and Frankie, in Chopper's Monster Point, are following the giant footprints, the brothers ambush them. After Rock is defeated, Scotch attempts to flee with Nami in tow, only to be stopped by Law. Once Scotch is down, Luffy frees Nami as Law makes a proposal to the Straw Hat captain. Luffy accepts Law's offer, much to Nami's protests. Luffy, Frankie, Nami, and Law then return to the hideout. Law puts Chopper and Frankie back in their own bodies, and puts Nami in Sanji's body, since Nami's body isn't nearby. Usopp and Nami stay behind to watch the children, while the rest go to the research facility to confront Caesar. The children later wake up and start acting crazy again due to their withdrawal symptoms. Nami and Usopp try to figure out how to calm them, but the children are getting more out of control. They start demanding candy to make them feel better and start rampaging. Caesar Clown then shows up behind Nami and Usopp, offering the children candy if they return to the research facility. As Caesar lures the children to him, Usopp and Nami try to stop them, only to get beaten down. When Usopp and Nami try to attack Caesar directly, he simply suffocates them, leaving them to be beaten by the giant children. They're saved when Brownbeard regains consciousness and attacks Caesar out of revenge for his betrayal. Caesar quickly subdues Brownbeard and the two Straw Hats and takes back the children. Nami later wakes up and comments that she survived because Sanji's body is so strong. She then helps Usopp. After Smiley explodes and releases poisonous gas on the island, Brownbeard, who survived Caesar's attack, helps Nami and Usopp escape the gas cloud. While fleeing, they join up with Zoro's group. Once they reach the laboratory, Brownbeard and the group manage to get through the shutters after Zoro and Kinemon cut it open. After the G5 Marines plug up the hole made by Kinemon and Zoro, they prepare to arrest the Straw Hats and Brownbeard. As Law is telling Smoker and Tashigi not to get in their way, Nami demands him to switch back Sanji and her bodies, to which Sanji disagrees. Law complies and switches their body back. Nami then notices that she's wearing a different coat and punches Sanji while accusing him of peeking at her body. Later, Law then tells everyone present about a way off the island, but will only have 2 hours to escape. They then split into 3 groups. Nami goes with Sanji, Zoro, Kinemon, Usopp, and Brook, while they go look for the children. Nami rides on Brownbeard's back as they go along. Caesar's henchmen blow a hole in the wall of Building A with a cannon, letting the toxic gas inside. The group runs from the gas as the gate to the passageway to Building B closes. Everyone, except for some of the Marines, narrowly escape before the gate shuts completely. Brownbeard then takes the group ahead, leaving Tashigi and her subordinates to mourn the ones who died. After Brownbeard, Kinemon, and the Straw Hats with them enter Building B, the tiny dragon comes and attacks them and begins to breathe fire everywhere. While Kinemon and Brook argue on who should fight the dragon, it gets caught in Nami's new attack, Thunder Trap, and is electrocuted. Brook and Kinemon proceed to deal the finishing blow. Nami and the group then find Chopper in Monster Point trying to prevent the children from getting their candy. Regardless of his efforts, the children beat him down and run past him when the rumble ball wears off. Nami, Kinemon, Zoro, Robin, Usopp, and Brook quickly come to Chopper's aid and run after the children to the Biscuits room. Once they reach there, they encounter Monet. Monet attacks the group, covering the Biscuits room in snow, and Nami regrets taking off her coat. Chopper and Nami tend to Robin, but she assures them that her wound is only a cut. Monet tries to attack them when they attempt to run after the children, but Zoro quickly blocks her. After getting hit by Nami's heat egg, Monet dives dives into the snow and stops Nami, Chopper, and Robin from leaving by creating a wall to block their path. An enraged Monet suddenly ensnares Nami and Chopper. As she attempts to bite Chopper, Nami swiftly moves Chopper out of harm's way, and Robin uses her Hana no Mi abilities to shatter Monet, saving Chopper and Nami from another attack. Zoro then cut down the snow barrier, allowing Robin, Nami, and Chopper to go after the children. After escaping the Biscuits room, Nami tries to help Mocha get away by using her Milky Ball technique to slow down the berserk children. Despite Nami and Robin's best efforts, some of the children manage to get around them and catch Mocha. No longer able to get away from the children, Mocha swallows the whole bag of candy as Nami, Robin, and Chopper watch in terror. As Mocha starts coughing up blood, Nami is surprised to see Sanji and the G5 medical team arrive to help. With their assistance, the berserk children are then returned to normal. While Chopper tends to Mocha's condition, Nami, Robin, Sanji, and the children, and the G5 with them, make haste to building R. Zoro and Tashigi later joins up with them. After Luffy defeats Caesar, Nami's group reunites with him in building R. Once everyone reaches building R safely, they board a rail car and make their escape. Nami and the others are able to escape outside and find Frankie battling Baby 5 and Buffalo in his General Frankie. Luffy and the others gush over how cool his robot is, but Nami and the other women are left unimpressed. Seeing themselves outmatched, Buffalo and Baby 5 grab Caesar and try to make a hasty retreat. Law prepares to stop them, but Nami and Usopp insist they handle the situation themselves. Nami states with a smile that she's itching to fight after running away so much. She creates an enormous thundercloud above the pair, which shocks them with a lightning strike. The attack knocks out Baby 5 as she, Buffalo, and Caesar fall out of the sky. Caesar pleads to Buffalo to save him, but multiple projectiles fired by Usopp quickly take him out. Caesar tries to escape on his own, but the last projectile turns out to be a sea stone handcuff and weaken him, which quickly cancels out Caesar's powers, choke, and weaken him. With this, Doflamingo's subordinates are defeated and fall into the ocean. Law proclaims the first step of his plan completed. Sometime after, she's approached by Tashiki, who tearfully asks her to let her take care of the kidnapped children, to which Nami agrees, wishing the best for them. She's later seen on the Marine ship, gazing at the horizon. Usopp approaches her and asks if she talked to the Marines about the kids. Nami confirms, saying that she's a pirate, so helping them wasn't exactly her forte, not to mention that the Marines would most likely blame the Straw Hats for the abductions. The young pirate adds that she's also dreadful at dealing with female Marines because she feels so safe around them due to the fact that her mother was a Marine herself. She also says that being around a strong female Marine is the best for the children, before berating Usopp for being a pushover, to which he replies that she's one to talk. Nami is later seen enjoying herself at the party held by her crew, the Marines, and Caesar Clown's former henchmen, playing with some of the children. Later, as Tashigi and her men take the children away from Punk Hazard, the Straw Hats leave with Law, Kinemon, and Momonosuke. While sailing towards their next destination, Dressrosa, everyone gathers around so Luffy and Law can tell them about their plan. Law proceeds to explain about Doflamingo's connection to the underworld and the plan to decimate Kaido's forces. Later that evening, when Nami informs Sanji, Brook, and Kinemon that Momonosuke is bathing together with Robin, they become extremely jealous. After Robin and Momonosuke leave the bath wearing towels, Sanji, Brook, and Kinemon yell at the boy out of a fit of rage until Nami reprimands them. Nami then offers Momonosuke to sleep with her and Robin for the night, much to his delight. When the morning newspaper arrives, everyone reads the news about Doflamingo's resignation from the Warlords of the Sea. They also see that the paper explains about Luffy and Law's alliance, as well as the alliance between Kid, Hawkins, and Apu. Dressrosa Arc. After Law contacted Doflamingo to inform him that they'll be bringing Caesar to Greenbit, Nami discussed with Law about finding the Smile Factory. Nami then had a meal with the rest of the crew, while Kinemon and Momonosuke told them the story about how they were shipwrecked and drifted to Dressrosa, how Momonosuke was separated from his father, and how Kanjuro was captured. The Thousand Sunny later approached Dressrosa. After disembarking, Law gave Nami a Vivre card which pointed to Greenbit. Law instructed Nami to use it if anything happened. The group split into 3 teams. Nami was with the team that was left to guard the Sunny. Nami and Chopper then noticed that Momonosuke becomes depressed whenever he's on his own, as if something was on his mind. Realizing that he wouldn't talk about it, they decide to play Shogun with him to at least keep his mind off of it. Brook puts his head on her lap, mistaking the game for an invitation, and gets hit for it. As Brook starts singing a song for the group, they hear strange sounds and a voice coming from the men's room. The voice belonged to Giola of the Don Quixote Pirates, who had invaded the ship along with several of her subordinates. Using her devil fruit power, she turned the men's room into abstract art, and did the same to Nami, Chopper, Brook, and Momonosuke. Hoping to lure Giola away from the ship, they escape, but Giola transformed the ship into art anyway, rendering it unable to sail. Nami, Chopper, and Brook fought back and managed to defeat Giola's men and destroy her ship. Giola used her devil fruit powers to turn Nami's staff into art, rendering it useless. The 3 Straw Hats then received a call from Law. They begged Law to come save them, but instead, Law ordered them to bring the Thousand Sunny to Greenbit. After he hung up, Nami was frustrated that he gave orders without listening. listening to them. Drilla later trapped Chopper, Momonosuke, and Nami in a deadly painting that would slowly suffocate them in 10 minutes. Brook acted nonchalant, seemingly caring more about the art that was being created than his friends' lives. The skeleton asked Jola to turn his violin and cane back to normal so that he could add accompaniment to their death. Once Jola complied, Brook then slashed her using Ekiuta Hitoyogiri, defeating her and causing her power to wear off, turning everyone back to normal. Later on, Nami's group kept attacking Jola to ensure she was completely incapacitated. They then discussed what to do with Jola and wondered why Law wasn't handing Caesar back to Doflamingo. Jola proudly informed them that Doflamingo never quit the warlords of the sea and explained his gambit to them, leaving them shocked and worried. As they get close to Greenbit, Nami's group was horrified to see fighting fish attacking the Sunny. When they saw Doflamingo approaching the ship, they cried in terror, but was overjoyed and relieved when Sanji intercepted him. When Sanji was overwhelmed and immobilized by Doflamingo's strings, Nami's group panicked. Doflamingo was about to deal a lethal blow to Sanji, but Law intervened by using shambles and teleported Sanji, Caesar, and himself to the Thousand Sunny. Law then instructed Nami's group to head for Zou. Nami's group was reluctant to leave behind the other Straw Hats, but they complied when they realized that the ship was facing threats from both Doflamingo and Isho. After blocking an attack from Doflamingo, Law informed the Straw Hats about Doflamingo's devil fruit powers and instructed them to go to a place without clouds. Law then took Jola hostage, giving Nami's group enough time to escape using coup de burst. After sailing far away from Dressrosa, Nami's group maintained a lookout for Doflamingo while she handled the ship's wheel. When Zoro finally made contact with Luffy at Corrido Coliseum, the group on the Sunny engaged in a conference call with both Luffy and Frankie's group. After everyone was brought up to speed and learned about the true situation on Dressrosa, Sanji decided to sail back to Dressrosa to carry out their assault on Doflamingo, much to Nami's dismay. Through the Denden Mushi, the group on the Sunny heard the skirmish occurring at the Corrido Coliseum and was shocked to hear that an admiral was also present on Dressrosa. To make matters worse, the return trip was cut short by the appearance of the Big Mom Pirates, who were after Caesar Clown. As the Thousand Sunny evaded cannon fire from the enemy ship, Nami told Luffy that the Sunny shouldn't return to Dressrosa because Law fought hard to keep Doflamingo away from Caesar and Momonosuke, and they couldn't risk them falling into Doflamingo's hands. Luffy agreed and allowed her group to continue on to Zou. Nami and the others managed to deal some damage to the enemy pirate ship and eluded the Big Mom Pirates thanks to a fog Nami created. They arrived at Zou the next day. After forcing Caesar to take them on a giant elephant's back, they came across Sheep's Head chasing after Tristan. After saving Tristan and running from Sheep's Head, they found Zou's ruined city covered in poison gas and the devastated Mink tribe. Pedro begged Nami's group to help Inu Arashi and Nekomamushi. Nami's group continued chasing Tristan and struggled to run on an unstable terrain, as she eventually fell on Brook. The three were then confronted by Sheep's Head and his comrades, when suddenly water spewed out of Zou's trunk, causing a sweeping flood to occur. Nami was forced to rescue Brook and Momonosuke, much to her chagrin. After saving them, she placed them on a log. They were then attacked by Sheep's Head, but Brook countered the attack. Sanji arrived and knocked out Sheep's Head. Nami later regrouped with the others to look for Tristan. After fending off Zou's enemies, they forced Caesar to neutralize the poison gas. Nami was then attacked by Wanda, who thought that she and her group were with Jack. Tristan and Pedro stopped her, explaining that Nami and her group were not the enemy. Nami's group then got to work on treating the Mink's injuries, saving them from certain death and gaining their gratitude. Zou Arc. While living with the Mink tribe, Nami exchanged some of her clothes with Wanda as part of a customary Mink symbol of their friendship, and received a new dress in return, which was considered a national treasure. The crew overheard a commotion outside and discovered two members of the Big Mom Pirates, Peckhams and Capone Beige, had arrived at Zou. Sanji and Brook then spoke with the Big Mom Pirates members in private. After Beige shot Peckhams in the back for agreeing to let the Straw Hats go, he summoned his men from his body and captured Sanji and Brook, and immediately afterward, Vito captured Nami and Chopper. Nami had gone outside with Chopper because she was worried, and Chopper didn't know Beige ate the Shiroshiro no Mi and had additional men at his disposal. Beige quickly lured Caesar out into the open and captured him as well, but Momonosuke, who had locked himself inside his room, didn't get caught. Beige then took the group inside his body to continue the conversation with the Straw Hat, where he spoke to Sanji in a banquet hall while the rest of the group was shackled up at gunpoint. Beige revealed an invitation to Big Mom's tea party and a mission to retrieve Sanji, the third son of the Vinsmoke family, who was slated to be married to Pudding, the 35th daughter of the Charlotte family. As the other Straw Hats reacted to the news, Nami remembered Sanji's mysterious comment that he was born in the North Blue. After writing a note, Sanji gave it to his friends and apologized, explaining that it wasn't his intention to hide things from them. He then threw Nami, Chopper, and Brook out of Beiji's body. Sanji snatched a rifle from one of the fire tank pirates and held Caesar at gunpoint to prevent Beiji's crew from going after his comrades. As Nami, Chopper, and Brook plead for Sanji to stay with them, Sanji promised that he would return before Beiji fled with him and Caesar. His disheartened friends were now left with just a note which made light of the situation and simply restated his promise to come back. Nami, Chopper, and Brook resided at Right Flank Fortress for the next 2 days. On the second day, Nami was sleeping on a giant sheep mink when Chopper informed her that Luffy and his group arrived. Nami and Chopper then quickly went to greet them. As she embraced Luffy, she then broke down in tears as she was going to explain what happened to Sanji. While feasting with the minks, Nami asked the others about what to do about Sanji and scolded them for taking his disappearance too lightly. Not too worried about Sanji since he left them a letter, Luffy's group then asked Nami about the time after their separation. Nami and Chopper explained how they escaped the Big Mom Pirates. When Ino Arashi regained consciousness, Nami was overjoyed and they went to go meet him. While traveling to the Duke's home, Wanda explained about Jack's attack on Zou in more detail, revealing that he was searching for a Wano ninja known as Raizo. After Wanda finished with her recollection, Brook explained to his crew the reason why they shouldn't mention samurai or the Wano country. When Luffy blurted out the ninja's name, Nami, Usopp, and Brook swiftly beat him up. They then arrived at the Duke's home where they were introduced to Shishilian, who expressed his gratitude to the crew. After entering the Duke's home, they heard about a weapon Jack used against the Mink tribe. After Wanda recalled the devastation caused by Jack and the Mink tribe's salvation, the Straw Hats decided to visit Nekomamushi and the Guardians. They then traveled to the Whale Forest with Wanda and Carrot. On the way, Nami began to explain what happened when Big Mom's ship arrived at Zou 2 days before Luffy's arrival. After explaining the circumstances concerning Sanji's departure from Zou, Luffy asked if Sanji was going to get married based on what his note said. Nami replied that she wasn't sure but knew that Sanji promised to be back. Nami apologized for not holding Sanji back before the rest of the crew arrived, but Robin assured her that they had no choice in the matter. Nami and Zoro then argued about whether or not Sanji was at fault for leaving. Luffy broke up their argument by saying that they would ask Sanji himself, but his crew reminded him that they can't invade Big Mom's domain without a strategy. Once they arrived at the Whale Forest, Nami and Luffy went to see Peckham's, who was recovering from his wounds. Nami asked what kind of person Sanji's father is, and Peckham's revealed that he's an infamous man in the underworld and that the Vinsmoke family is a family of assassins. Peckham's then mentioned about an organization known as Germa 66, much to Nami's disbelief. As Peckham's explained the threat that Big Mom posed, Nami began to understand why Sanji couldn't refuse the invitation. Luffy then told Nami that he'll be bringing Sanji back alone. After the Heart Pirates and Nekomamushi arrived, the Straw Hats, except Robin, Frankie, and Brook, and Law's crew partied with Nekomamushi and his subject. The next morning, Nami and her group heard a bell ringing and realized that Kinemon and Kanjuro had arrived. They quickly rushed to find them, fearing what would happen if the Mink tribe meets the samurais. The Straw Hats managed to intercept Kinemon, Kanjuro, and Momonosuke just as they arrived at Kurao City and tried desperately to keep them hidden. However, as Nekomamushi and Ino Arashi were fighting, Kinemon and Kanjuro revealed themselves. Contrary to what the Straw Hats expected, the Mink tribe welcomed the samurais and revealed that Raizo is safe. The Straw Hats were stunned to learn that the Minks knew about Raizo all along and went to great lengths to keep him hidden despite the abuse they suffered. As Kinemon revealed the Kozuki family crest on his back to confirm his allegiance, Nami realized that the bond between the Minks and Kinemon's clan were deeper than they thought. The Straw Hats were further shocked when Kinemon revealed that Momonosuke was not his son, but rather the heir to the daimyo of Kuri. However, Luffy still got into a fight with Momonosuke, causing him to embrace Nami. However, Nami didn't mind as she deduced that his father must have a large amount of wealth. Ino Arashi and Nekomamushi then took the Straw Hats, Law, and the samurais to a secret room inside the whale-shaped tree to see Raizo. When Robin deciphered the red poneglyph hidden in the whale, Ino Arashi then explained to the Straw Hats about the 4 road poneglyphs, and they listened in anticipation as he revealed how they can lead to Laugh-Tale. When Nekomamushi revealed that Kaido and Big Mom each possessed 1 road poneglyph, Nami, Usopp, Chopper, and Brook were deeply shocked. The Straw Hats were then surprised when Nekomamushi revealed that Momonosuke's ancestor created the poneglyphs. However, the samurais explained that Momonosuke never inherited the knowledge of the poneglyphs due to the execution of Lord Oden at the hands of Kaido and the Shogun of Wano. The Straw Hats also learned that Oden was part of Roger's crew and had been on Laugh-Tale with him, as well as the Beast's pirates' objective in obtaining the secret that Oden knew. The samurais revealed Oden's will to open the Wano country to the world, and they went on a journey to gather allies to defeat Kaido and the Shogun of Wano. When Luffy declined Kinemon's request for an alliance, Nami thought of a way to make money through negotiations. Nami later slapped Luffy when he told Momonosuke to take responsibility. After Luffy accepted Momonosuke's humble request, Nami watched as Luffy formed an alliance with the samurais and the Mink tribe. Right after leaving the secret room, Nami and the others learned that Ino Arashi and Nekomamushi traveled with Oden and had been on the ships of both Whitebeard and Roger. When Nami asked about following the log post to the end of the Grand Line, Ino Arashi revealed that the last island in the Grand Line isn't actually Laugh-Tale, but it still holds some significance. He then praised Nami for her skills as a navigator, making her pleased with herself. The alliance decided to split up to accomplish different tasks and meet up again at Wano. Nami, Chopper, and Brook chose to accompany Luffy on his mission to rescue Sanji. However, before they could start their operation, they felt Zou shaking and heard Zunesha crying. As everything shook around them, Nami was confused as to what voice Luffy was hearing. They heard from Momonosuke that Jack Jack returned to Zou and started attacking Zunesha. On Momonosuke's command, Zunesha sank Jack's fleet with one blow. With the threat of Jack ended, everyone became calm again. Usopp later gave Nami a new climb attack, and she tested out its capabilities right away, much to Usopp's chagrin. After Luffy retrieved Peckhams and Pedro volunteered to help save Sanji, Nami then departed Zou with the Sanji retrieval team. Everyone, except for the Straw Hat members left behind, were shocked when Luffy jumped off Zunesha with his party. As they sailed towards Whole Cake Island on the Thousand Sunny, Nami, Chopper, and Brook were still recovering from the shock of Luffy's stunt at Zou. They were then surprised to see Carrot has snuck on board. After she begged them not to turn back, the group allowed her to come along. When the crew got hungry, Luffy insisted on preparing a meal himself because Nami was going to charge them money for food. Nami and the rest of the Sanji retrieval team then learned from a newspaper about the Blackbeard Pirates' attack on the Revolutionary Army's headquarters on Baltigo, surprising everyone on board. Nami was then shocked to learn that Luffy's brother Sabo was the Revolutionary Army's second in command before she pointed out to Luffy that Dragon was his father. As Pedro assured them that there was no reported casualties, they assumed the army was fine. When they passed through a storm, Luffy presented his dish, which the group didn't enjoy in the least. Luffy then admitted that he used up all the food they had, and the group found themselves in a food shortage crisis. Marine Rookie Arc. The Sanji retrieval team started to starve after Luffy wasted all their rations, but then came across Phrawn Island. Peckhams warned them that it was home to a marine base, but Nami, Luffy, Chopper, Brook, and Carrot headed for it on the Shark Submerged 3. When they reached the island, Brook scared some marines into unconsciousness, and Nami and the others stole their clothes. Nami prepared to raid a food warehouse within the marine base, but to her shock, saw Luffy and Carrot going into marine cafeteria. Nami and Chopper eventually followed them into the cafeteria, where they were fed a warm meal by the staff. However, Carrot called out Nami's name extremely loud, causing her to be recognized and approached by Zappa. Zappa got close to Nami and proposed to her, but she ran into the hall and collapsed in shock. Luffy was discovered soon afterwards, and Nami and Chopper decided to run to the food warehouse so they could get food for the rest of their journey as the Marines mobilized to stop the crew. Chopper and Nami made it outside and went to the food warehouse, which Nami broke into with her burglary skills. Luffy and Carrot later arrived and the group reunited, but they were confronted by Grount, Bonham, and Zappa. Zappa tried proposing to Nami and Carrot and failed to stay down after Carrot shocked him with Electro, causing Nami to unleash a giant thundercloud and hit Zappa with a large bolt of lightning. However, Zappa still got up and attacked Luffy, but the attack hit a giant tank of water that crashed down on him and flooded the building. The Sanji retrieval team was washed outside, and Grount confronted Luffy, but was quickly defeated. The team then ran to the shore to make their escape, but were confronted by Vice Admiral Prody on the coast. The team tried escaping to the submerge, but Prody shot his bazooka at the team, but they dodged the blast and leaped down to the coast to confront him and his men. Nami and Carrot's electrical attacks on the Marines initially failed to work due to the rubber shields, but Nami overwhelmed them with Gust Sword and Mirage Tempo. Luffy eventually defeated Prody and later Bonham and Zappa, and the team prepared to escape. However, Luffy was confronted by Grount, and he told everyone to head for the still intact submerge while he fought Grount. Luffy eventually defeated Grount, and the team escaped back to the Thousand Sunny. However, they ate all the food they had stolen within 10 minutes, much to Nami's shock. Whole Cake Arc. A few days later, the group was famished from the lack of food and overheated as they passed through boiling waters. They were saved from starvation when Luffy managed to catch a gigantic fish. Nami prepared a meal using Sanji's recipe. However, Luffy was incapacitated by food poisoning after eating the fish's toxic skin. After entering Big Mom's waters, the group was approached by a ship belonging to Germa 66. When they saw a hooded man aboard the ship, the group mistook him for Sanji until the man revealed himself to be Sanji's younger brother, Vinsmoke Yonji. When Luffy's condition worsened, Yonji refused to provide any aid and taunted the group to try to take the antidote by force until Sanji's older sister, Reiju, appeared and kicked Yonji for his rudeness. She then boarded the Thousand Sunny and cured Luffy by sucking the poison out of him. Yonji and Reiju then departed without reporting the Sanji retrieval team's presence. The group later docked at Cacao Island, an island close to Whole Cake Island, and has buildings made of chocolate. Nami and Carrot wore their new dresses, and Nami beat up Brook for peeking under her skirt. The team then saw Luffy and Chopper get into trouble by eating at a cafe and were about to be arrested. They were saved by Charlotte Pudding, who invited the Sanji retrieval team into her home where she offered them food. The Sanji retrieval team was then shocked to learn that the woman they were conversing with was Sanji's bride-to-be, who in turn was surprised to discover that the group was from the Straw Hat crew. After calming down, Nami and the team listened as Pudding explained more about the Charlotte family and her thoughts about Sanji. Nami was shocked to hear that Sanji turned her down. Pudding then showed them a secret route to Whole Cake Island and told them where to meet her while promising to bring Sanji to them. The Sanji retrieval team then left in a hurry when guards arrived for Pudding and quickly returned to the Thousand Sunny. Peckhams was nowhere to be seen, and they found a message telling them to turn back. After leaving Cacao Island, Nami looked at Pudding's map as they sailed on her route. Pedro spotted the next island ahead, but Nami decided not to approach it. Luffy then turned the ship starboard, but Nami was annoyed when he did it so overzealously. Nami told the team that they should keep their distance from the islands in order to avoid Big Mom's surveillance. She left the navigation to Brook as she went to prepare food, preventing Luffy from going to the kitchen again. When Carrot inquired about a grape-colored ocean far away, Pedro revealed that some islands have rivers of juice flowing into the ocean. Nami asked him about how he knew this, and Pedro revealed that he had been to Toto Island once before. A giant aquatic centipede then attacked the Sunny, scaring Nami and Chopper. The team later battled a swarm of giant ants before getting trapped in a frozen sea of syrup as night fell. Pedro revealed that the sea froze every night and unfroze the next day, and an annoyed Nami said that he should have told them earlier. As they worked to unfreeze the sea, Nami and the rest of the team listened as Pedro revealed his past history on Toto Island and his plan to steal Big Mom's road poneglyph. The next day, the team reached Whole Cake Island. After docking at the southwestern coast of Whole Cake Island, the team split into two groups, with Pedro and Brook going to steal Big Mom's road poneglyph. Right after Luffy's group disembarked on the island, Luffy saw what appeared to be Sanji in the nearby forest. Luffy, Chopper, and Carrot ran after him, with Nami following them. Nami didn't see Sanji but trusted her crewmates' observations, though she had to berate them for getting distracted by the sweet environment. The team was nearly eaten by a talking crocodile, and Nami decided that the forest was too strange and that they should wait on the coast. But Luffy coaxed her onward. They also encountered a man with a gigantic head whose body was buried into the ground. Suddenly, Luffy confronted a reflection of himself, and the others saw Sanji on a tree branch and ran after him. However, Nami, Chopper, and Carrot were attacked by a rabbit named Randolph, riding a crane, and Nami decided that they needed to go back, knowing that the real Sanji would never lead them like this. However, everything in the seducing woods came to life to trap and kill the pirates. Nami, Chopper, and Carrot continued running from Randolph, although Carrot managed to stop the rabbit's steed using Electro. Randolph hurled its spear at the Sanji retrieval team, but they dodged it as they returned to the fighting Luffy's. Nami, Chopper, and Carrot unwittingly took the reflection Luffy back to the store, but to their surprise, they ended up in the exact same location after crossing the river, as though the forest had been mirrored. The reflection Luffy then revealed herself to be Charlotte Brûlé, who grabbed Nami and prepared to slice her and Carrot's faces. Nami quickly grabbed her climb attack and repelled Brûlé. She then watched Carrot attempting to attack Brûlé, only for the latter to use the power of the Mira Mira no Mi to reflect Carrot's attack back at her. Carrot tried to attack again, but Brûlé used her power to trap Carrot into the mirror world. Brûlé then explained to Nami and Chopper that Big Mom was well aware of their movements and gave orders to prevent them from meeting Sanji. Brûlé then ordered all the living trees in the seducing woods to subdue the two Straw Hats. Chopper ate a rumble ball and transformed into his monster point to help Nami escape. Nami ran and searched desperately for Luffy. Eventually, Luffy caught her and took her to a clearing where the buried man resided. Luffy then untied her after discovering that she was the real Nami. After explaining to Luffy what had happened during the encounter with Brûlé, she then interrogated the man with the gigantic head. The man explained about a toll the citizens of Totoland must pay to Big Mom, as well as the Emperor's Devil Fruit power, which enables her to give life to many things. The man then revealed that he was one of Big Mom's husbands, who was discarded after having two daughters. Big Mom's 10th son, Charlotte Cracker, appeared and pulled the man out of the ground. The man mentioned a person named Lola, much to Nami's surprise. Nami deduced that Big Mom and Pound were Lola's parents, as she and Luffy were suddenly ambushed by Randolph again. However, Cracker blew Randolph away and berated him for interfering, and Nami and Luffy watched as Cracker argued with Brûlé and the guards of the seducing woods. The two Straw Hats also witnessed Brûlé displaying a captured Carrot and Chopper trapped in her mirror before she shattered the mirror into pieces. Luffy then attacked Cracker and freed Pound, and Nami ran away with him as homies pursued him. Nami then pulled out the Vivre card Lola gave her, causing the homies to shrink back in fear of Big Mom's powerful soul in the card. Nami and Pound then saw Luffy being overwhelmed by Cracker, and Nami warned him not to go all out since they were supposed to find and rescue Sanji. However, Luffy replied that he couldn't fight any other way. As Cracker overwhelmed Luffy, Nami asked Luffy to retreat, but he refused. Nami and Pound were then confronted by Brûlé and King Bomb. Nami began to panic at how powerful the Big Mom pirates were, and Brûlé taunted her, saying that she and her crew would be defeated and fall into despair just like the other Worst Generation members that had tried to invade Big Mom's territory. Brûlé threw a mirror in front of Nami and emerged from it, grabbing Nami and attempting to drag her into the mirror. Nami called for Pound, who attacked Brûlé and freed her. While Brûlé taunted Pound, Nami struck Brûlé with Thunderbolt Tempo, sending her crashing into the ground. The other homies became afraid of her, and Nami confidently held up Lola's Vivre card to assist herself. Sometime after this, she cut the Vivre card in half as a precaution. While the homies feared getting involved with Cracker and Luffy's battle, Nami then asked them whom they feared more, Cracker or Big Mom. For the next 11 hours, Nami stood in King Bomb's mouth, creating rain clouds that softened Cracker's biscuit soldiers, allowing Luffy to eat them. After 11 hours, Nami realized that Cracker really could produce an infinite number of biscuit soldiers. As the battle dragged on, Cracker complained about Nami sabotaging him. After ordering the homies to protect her, Nami begged to Cracker that Luffy would be the one to become the Pirate King, and that his appetite is unstoppable. When Cracker sent more of his biscuit soldiers charging at Luffy, Nami used Rain Spark and soaked the soldiers, which Luffy then devoured. Nami later witnessed Luffy using another form of Gear 4 and sent Cracker flying. After Cracker's defeat, Nami was overjoyed and cheered for Luffy's victory. However, Pound was worried about the wrath that may befall them and warned Nami about Big Mom's ability to control the weather. Nami and Luffy then rested on top of King Bomb's head as they traveled to Big Mom's castle. On the way, Nami contacted Chopper and Carrot through a mirror shard. Chopper and Carrot told her not to worry, but their conversation abruptly ended and the mirror shard shattered. They soon encountered the Vinsmoke carriage and saw Sanji again. Excited, Nami called out to Sanji as Luffy leaped onto the carriage and asked Sanji to return with them. In response, Sanji kicked Luffy off the carriage, much to Nami's shock. Nami then watched in disbelief as Sanji coldly told Luffy and her to leave. As Sanji continued degrading Luffy, Nami shouted at him that he was going too far, but Sanji glared at her. Nami was shocked as Sanji began attacking Luffy and told Sanji to stop since Luffy had been going through a lot to meet him. Nami grew more distressed as Sanji continued attacking Luffy and begged for him to stop, saying that they would leave. After Luffy collapsed from Sanji's attacks, Nami approached Sanji, slapped him, and angrily told him to go on his way. She then witnessed as Luffy shouted to Sanji that he would wait for him. After the Vinsmoke family left, Nami and Luffy soon saw the weather changing into a massive storm as an army marched to their location. Nami told Luffy to run and hide, but Luffy refused. She then fought the army alongside Luffy. Nami brought down a large lightning bolt before Galette immobilized her with her ability. Nami could only watch as Luffy was overpowered by the army's higher-ranked members. Amande then removed one half of the Vivre card Nami had in her possession, and the Big Mom Pirates learned that the card came from Lola. Nami explained that Lola is a friend and she gave the card to her. The army then headed back to Sweet City to report to Big Mom with the captive Straw Hats in tow. Nami and Luffy were then imprisoned inside a book. At the prisoner library, Big Mom spoke to them through a Denden Mushi. During the conversation, Big Mom asked Nami if she really killed Lola like she had heard. Nami vehemently denied it, saying that they were friends with Lola and she had given them Big Mom's Vivre card, having told them to tell Big Mom she was well and that the Vivre card would cause Big Mom to help them out. However, Big Mom responded in a fit of rage, saying in great anger that she would like very much for Lola to be dead and would send hired assassins after her if Nami revealed her location. Big Mom revealed that Lola ran away from an important political marriage that would enable her to become Pirate King. Nami was shocked as she remembered meeting Lola on Thriller Bark and how Lola wanted to marry every man she met before Big Mom said that she would get Lola's location out of Nami eventually. Sometime after the conversation, Pudding came to the prisoner library and requested to talk to Luffy and Nami, and she entered their cell via an opening created by a bookmark. Pudding apologized for the harm her siblings had inflicted on them and apologized for not meeting them on the coast like they agreed. She revealed that Sanji had proposed to her, but stated that she knew he didn't truly want to marry her, and so she wouldn't marry him. She then whispered to Luffy and Nami, saying with a sinister expression that she planned to kill Sanji during the wedding ceremony, and Luffy and Nami wouldn't leave alive. Pudding then said goodbye as she left their cell in tears. As Luffy struggled to break free, even if it means tearing off his arms, Nami tried to get him to stop. Nami cried in terror as Luffy's arms bled. Opera received orders to acquire Lola's location by the end of the day, but Nami refused to reveal it. As Opera prepared to torture Nami with a crossbow, they were interrupted by the arrival of Jinbei, who took down Opera with a single punch. Jinbei then prepared to free the two Straw Hats. Jinbei released Nami and Luffy by burning the book they were imprisoned in. Afterwards, Nami learned about the business that Jinbei needed taken care of. Nami and Jinbei were then pursued through the hallways. Nami used the thundercloud against their foes, which also accidentally shocked Chopper, who came out of the nearby mirror with Carrot. Nami and Jinbei escaped their pursuers by entering the mirror world. The group then began searching for Luffy, Brook, and Sanji. Nami's group located Brook inside Big Mom's bedroom, being held in her hands as she slept. After bounding and gagging Brule and Diesel to keep them quiet, the team witnessed Big Mom and her three homies attacking a fly. The team became terrified, wondering how they were supposed to save Brook. The team then made a skeletal look-alike of Brook, which they planned to use to make a stand-in for the real Brook. After a few unsuccessful attempts to retrieve Brook, Big Mom finally let go of him, and Nami set out to rescue him. Nami woke Brook up, but Brook screamed at the sight of the skeleton she was holding. Big Mom grabbed Prometheus and threw it at the two Straw Hats, but Jinbei managed to bring them safely back to the mirror world. Inside the mirror world, Nami got mad at him for screaming and almost getting them killed. The team were then surprised to see that Brook successfully acquired copies of Big Mom's 3 poneglyphs, and they celebrated Brook's accomplishment. Nami's group tried to locate Sanji and Luffy, but none of the mirrors saw them. Nami theorized that if they weren't in the castle, then they must be where the two fought earlier. They managed to contact Luffy and Sanji through a mirror shard, and they were surprised when Luffy decided to ruin the wedding ceremony. While speaking to Sanji, Nami said that she wouldn't forgive Sanji for the grief he put her through, but was willing to forget about it to help Sanji and get him back. Nami then listened as Jinbei explained more about Beiji, which is his backstory and him plotting against Big Mom. She was shocked when Jinbei proposed to form an alliance with Beiji, and even more so when Luffy agreed to go meet him. Nami and her group arrived at Beiji's hideout before Luffy and Sanji. While Nami took a bath with Carrot, she talked about Lola's sister, Chiffon, and told her about her encounter with Lola. During the conversation, Chiffon told Nami about the day Lola ran away from her arranged marriage and Big Mom's strained relationship with giants. After finishing her bath, Nami accompanied her team inside the meeting room. While Beiji explained his assassination plan, Nami objected when Beiji informed Luffy that he would be bait to distract Big Mom's forces. However, Luffy excitedly agreed, much to Nami's surprise. The meeting adjourned once Beiji finished going over his plan in detail. Beiji took the alliance members to the tea party in his castle, and Nami slept for the first time in 3 days. After the wedding ceremony began, the team initially encountered a small problem when Jinbei had difficulty waking Luffy up. After they woke Luffy with food, the team went into the mirror world and prepared to charge into the venue. Once they heard the signal, the team unleashed duplicates of Luffy into the venue, causing chaos at the ceremony. After releasing all the duplicates, the team charged in. Nami, Chopper, and Carrot then hid inside the ruined wedding cake, waiting for the photo of Carmel to be destroyed. They then watched in amazement as Jinbei officially declared to Big Mom his intention to leave the Big Mom Pirates in order to join Luffy's crew. 3 seconds after Brook destroyed Carmel's portrait, Nami, Carrot, and Chopper were confused as to why Big Mom didn't already start screaming. However, they were later told by Beiji to put on their earplugs as he initiated his assassination operation. Once Luffy caused Big Mom to start her strange scream, Nami's group came out of hiding. Nami then gave the Vinsmokes their raid suits right after Sanji freed them from their restraints. Nami then watched as Beiji, Vito, and Gody fired their KX launchers at Big Mom. However, Big Mom's scream detonated the rockets before they could reach her. With the assassination attempt a failure, Caesar flew into the venue with the escape mirror, and Beiji signaled the alliance members to retreat. Before they could escape into the mirror, Big Mom's scream shattered it, leaving them trapped in the venue. After Beiji transformed into Big Father, he instructed the alliance to retreat inside. Before she could do so, Nami was restrained by Smoothie, but was released after Reiju attacked Smoothie. As Nami fell, she was caught by Sanji, and the pair successfully retreated into Beiji's fortress. Inside, Big Father, Nami, and Chopper shivered in terror as Beiji explained about the dire situation they were in. As Beiji's fortress suffered damage from Big Mom's attacks, Luffy prepared to fight her, but Nami had Chopper restrain him. As Chopper held Luffy back, Nami reminded him that they achieved their objectives and tried to persuade him that there was no point in fighting Big Mom. Nami then listened as Beiji came up with a plan to escape with Caesar's help. After the Vinsmoke family exited Beiji's body to distract the Big Mom Pirates, Nami cried in shock when Luffy and Sanji engaged Big Mom in combat to save Reiju. While Caesar was evading the Big Mom Pirates with Beiji in tow, Nami cheered for him. Just when the Big Mom Pirates routed Luffy's group, Beiji's crew, and the Vinsmokes, the Tamate Bako dropped to the base of the Whole Cake Chateau and exploded, causing the castle to topple over. As the castle collapsed, Luffy's group, Beiji's crew, and the Vinsmoke family got away. The Sanji retrieval team and the Fire Tank Pirates rendezvous at the northwest part of Whole Cake Island, where Beiji decided to part ways with the Straw Hats. Still showing scorn for Caesar, Nami told him to leave as well, right before Beiji gave him his heart back. After Brook and Chopper separated from the group to retrieve the Shark Submerged 3, the rest head for the Thousand Sunny. As they approached the seducing woods, Nami was happy to see King Bomb alive and stitched back together. Nami then revealed that she still possessed part of Big Mom's Vivre card and used it to control King Bomb again, forcing him to transport the fleeing team. However, before they reached the seducing woods, a crazed Big Mom, while riding on Zeus, caught up to them. Using Napoleon in its sword form, Big Mom unleashed an air slash that cut off part of King Bomb. As King Bomb screamed in pain while pleading to Big Mom that his services to the Straw Hats were against his will, Nami questioned him about the lady tree homie he was with. Bomb revealed that the tree homie was his fiancée, which Nami said that should be his reason to live. As Big Bomb prepared to attack again, Nami diverted Zeus's attention by using thunderclouds, causing the cloud homie to veer off course and drop Big Mom. As Nami and her group reached the seducing woods, Zeus caught up to them and asked for more thunderclouds. Nami offered to feed it more in exchange for serving her. Big Mom then ordered the tree homie of the seducing woods to stop the Straw Hats, but King Bomb charged through them. Nami and her group were later forced to jump off King Bomb when Prometheus attacked and burned King Bomb for his betrayal. As the Sanji retrieval team continued with their escape, Nami kept feeding Zeus thunderclouds because it was the only way to keep Big Mom from catching up to them. Thanks to Big Mom's presence, the Weaver card in Nami's possession was rendered useless, and the seducing Woods homies went to work attacking the Straw Hats and changing the landscape to confuse them. Several Big Mom pirates caught up to their captain and clashed with the Sanji retrieval team. The team pulled out of the conflict quickly, knowing they couldn't split up there. And while Nami was distracted by the sudden onslaught, Zeus ended up eating her entire weather egg. This caused the cloud to massively expand and become stormy, and Nami took the opportunity to summon a massive lightning bolt that struck the Big Mom pirates pursuing them. Nami's attack left Big Mom laying at the bottom of the crater. To the Straw Hat's shock, Big Mom was barely affected and continued to move. She ate through the ground as she moved back up, and the team started running again. They were then approached by Pudding and Chiffon. After Chiffon requested Sanji's help in making a cake for Big Mom, Sanji readily agreed to assist them. Big Mom then got back on her feet and unleashed another devastating air slash, and the two groups parted ways with Sanji heading to Cacao Island with Pudding and Chiffon, while Nami and her group continued fleeing to the Thousand Sunny. Pudding used her devil fruit powers to send memories flooding into the souls in the homies, allowing the Straw Hats to make it to the coast without trouble. The Sanji retrieval team made it back to the ship, but were still chased by Big Mom. They got into a conflict with Perospero and Katakuri, who were on board with Chopper and Brook. While Luffy clashed against Katakuri, Nami and Jinbei prepared the Sunny for escape. After Perospero trapped the ship in Candy, Nami watched in shock as Pedro attempted to take out Perospero with a massive suicidal explosion. Carrot was then about to go to the coast to get Pedro, but Nami stopped her from leaving the ship, saying that she couldn't afford to waste the chance that Pedro forbidden them. The Sanji retrieval team then completed preparations for the getaway. After Luffy grabbed and dragged Katakuri into the mirror world, Nami and her group on the Thousand Sunny escaped Whole Cake Island with a coup de burst. As the team mourned Pedro's self-sacrifice and lamented in their inability to save him, Jinbei encouraged them to press on and keep their guard up. With the team spurred into action, Nami had Chopper take the helm as she charted the quickest route to Cacao Island. While under siege by the Big Mom pirates, Nami was contacted by Luffy through a mirror shard. Luffy told her to shatter all the mirrors on the Thousand Sunny to prevent the enemy from swarming the ship so he could focus on his fight with Katakuri. As Nami was telling the team to break all the mirrors, in her despair she saw Big Mom creating a massive wave homie to engulf the Thousand Sunny. However, thanks to Jinbei's skill as a helmsman, the team managed to come out of that situation unharmed. Per Luffy's orders, she then broke the Sunny's mirrors before contacting Luffy through a mirror shard. She told him to find a mirror connecting to Cacao Island so they could meet him there. On the way to Cacao Island, the group on the Sunny were puzzled when they saw no pursuers. Nami wondered if this was a trap. With still no enemies in sight, Nami commented on how important it was to meet up with Sanji and acquire the cake. Otherwise, the group would remain separated and there would be no end to Big Mom's rage. As they were getting closer to Cacao Island, Jinbei told the group to prepare for a battle. The group on the Sunny was later surprised to find themselves once again pursued by Big Mom and a fleet of tarts. They were initially able to hold their own, but they later discovered another fleet of tarts led by Daifuku in front of them. As they were about to be surrounded by the Big Mom pirates, they thought about a counterattack. Carrot told the rest of the team to leave this to her, and they watched with amazement as Carrot transformed into her Sulong form and launched an attack on Daifuku's crew. Nami continued to watch in awe at Carrot's strength, but Jinbei revealed that Carrot faced the risk of severe exhaustion if she used the Sulong form for too long. After Brook carried Carrot back to the Thousand Sunny, Nami praised Carrot for her efforts. However, Nami and her group later faced despair after Big Mom summoned Zeus and Prometheus back to her and went to attack the Sunny. When Big Mom attacked Jinbei with Napoleon, Nami tried telling Jinbei to run, but the fishman attempted to block the strike with his Busoshoku Haki imbued arms, only to be sent flying into the ocean. Big Mom then looked inside the upper deck for the cake, and Nami tried to stop her, saying that Carrot was resting there. Big Mom attempted to smash Nami into the floor, but Chopper blocked her attack with guard point. Jinbei returned and used the Buraikon technique to knock Big Mom off the Sunny, amazing Nami and the rest of the group. While riding on Zeus again, Big Mom prepared to slice the entire ship in half. In response, Nami offered Zeus some thunderclouds, but it refused the temptation and attacked her. However, Brook took the attack and bisected Zeus, allowing Nami to send in her thunderclouds and force Zeus to discharge all its power, which engulfed Big Mom in a massive blast of lightning. The group on the Sunny quickly moved to escape, and after Brook brought a smaller and weakened Zeus back to the ship, Nami threatened the Cloud Homie to serve her or be killed. As Big Mom continued to chase after the Thousand Sunny with Prometheus in gigantic size, Nami worried for Chopper as he, in his monster point, struggled to defend the Sunny from Big Mom's onslaughts. Nami then noticed an approaching ship in the distance. As the Nostra Castello approached the Thousand Sunny, Nami was overjoyed to see Sanji again. After putting brought Sanji to the Straw Hat ship, Nami and Brook embraced Sanji. With the fire tank pirates luring Big Mom away with the cake, the Straw Hats continued on to Cacao Island to retrieve Luffy. On the way, the group on the Sunny learned from Sanji that the Big Mom pirates were aware of their rendezvous point. After Sanji and Pudding went ahead to Cacao Island to help Luffy, the group on the Sunny evaded Smoothie's attacks. Nami was put in charge of the navigational commands as Jinbei steered the Sunny. As the promised rendezvous time drew near, Nami pointed out that Luffy needed Brûlée in order to leave the Mirror World, causing the group to become concerned given Luffy's absent-mindedness. With a few minutes remaining, Cacao Island was in sight. As they approached the island, they saw the massive fleet that the Big Mom pirates assembled there. They were overjoyed to hear from Sanji that Luffy made it out of the Mirror World. The group was then bewildered when they saw the Big Mom's pirates' fleet suddenly engulfed in flames. As they witnessed Germa 66 attacking the Big Mom pirates, Sanji told them to sail past the port at full speed. The Sunny group did so, and they were overjoyed to see Sanji and Luffy coming towards them. Luffy and Sanji returned to the Sunny, and the group quickly made the retreat from Cacao Island. The group was then besieged by Smoothie's fleet, but Judge came to their rescue. After the Sunny passed by Judge's castle, the group later saw enemy ships approaching them from the front, and when the situation grew more dire, they were surprised when Watatsumi appeared and attacked the enemy ship. The Sun Pirates cleared a path for the Sunny. However, despite their efforts, the Sunny was intercepted and attacked by the Queen Mama Chanter. Watatsumi saved the Sunny by switching it with the Sun Pirate ship and hit the Sunny in his mouth. Watatsumi tried swimming away, but Oven attacked him with heat waves, forcing him to spit out the Sunny. As the Sun Pirates held back the Big Mom Pirates, Jinbei decided to stay behind to help them, and Luffy consented to his decision. Jinbei then instructed Nami to sail the Sunny as fast and far as possible. After Jinbei joined his former crew in battle, the Sunny group sailed far away from Cacao Island. With the Big Mom Pirates unable to pursue, the Sunny group successfully escaped Totoland. After some rest, Sanji cooked a meal for everyone. Levely Arc. As Sanji was rejecting the raid suit given to him during the escape from Cacao Island, Nami revealed the addition of Zeus to her climate act. Carrot received a newspaper and showed it to the group. The group then saw that Sanji and Luffy received new bounties. Initially, the group misread Luffy's bounty as 150 million berry, which Nami was happy with since that would mean that the crew would receive less attention. Brook later took a closer look at Luffy's poster, and the group was shocked to learn that Luffy's bounty actually increased to 1.5 billion berry. Wano Country Arc. As the Thousand Sunny continued towards Wano Country, the group was informed of the Levely through a newspaper. Nami noticed news concerning Kaido and Big Mom, but Sanji and Chopper cut out parts of the newspaper to keep for themselves. The group then encountered an unusual weather disturbance in their direction, followed by an octopus on their ship as well as a school of huge koi on their side. After a bumpy ride across a river, the ship climbed up a waterfall. Once they reached the top, they came across a whirlpool. Sanji carried Nami, Chopper, Carrot, and Brook away from the ship, but Luffy got dragged into the whirlpool along with the Sunny. After Luffy got separated, the group searched for him, but they only found his Vivre card. They later got in touch with Kinemon, and they reunited with Luffy at the ruins of Oden Castle. With Law, Momonosuke, and Kiku also present, Kinemon explained how he and his group traveled through time to escape Orochi's attack 20 years ago. Nami then listened as Kinemon explained more about the past, such as the story of Oden, the time of his execution, the rumor about Toki, and what Kinemon's group did right after arriving at present time. Kinemon then went over a plan to attack Onigashima, the island where Kaido resided, in 2 weeks. Kinemon explained more about the Fire Festival, and how decisive battle would not play out. He then gave the group specific tasks to do. After Kinemon gave the group new clothes, Nami questioned him about the clothes she received. He then introduced them to Shinobu, and Nami got angry at Kinemon. When Kaido arrived at Kuri, Law alerted the group. The group was surprised to see Kaido, and they learned that Luffy, Zoro, and Law were already exposed. Luffy rushed off to protect Okobore Town, and Law chased after him and told the rest to remain unseen. After Kinemon and Kiku left to rescue Tsuru, the rest at Oden Castle noticed Kaido coming to their direction and tried to flee as Kaido destroyed the castle with a fire breath. Sanji carried Nami and Carrot away while Shinobu saved the rest by using her devil fruit power to sink them into the ground. Kiku then returned and told them what happened to Luffy. Sometime after Luffy was taken by the Beast's pirates, Nami and Shinobu infiltrated a house and spied on government officials in charge of weapon shipments from the ceiling. One of the officials spotted her looking glass and jabbed a blade into the ceiling. Nami and Shinobu were forced to run away from his attacks, and Shinobu started screaming, tipping the officials off to the presence of humans. However, the duo managed to escape, and Shinobu used ninjutsu to glide through the air. Nami revealed that she found out when and where the weapons shipment was leaving, and Shinobu admitted that she's afraid of sharp objects, much to Nami's chagrin. Nami then spotted a long line for a soba stand operated by Sanji, and she was angry that he seemed more focused on attracting women than samurai. Nami and Shinobu later infiltrated Orochi's castle. While they were hiding in the attic, Robin contacted them through Denden Mushi and informed them that she had been discovered by the Orochi Oniwabanshu. While peeking into the banquet hall from the space above the ceiling, Nami and Shinobu were confronted by Hanzo. Shinobu incapacitated him and then collapsed the ceiling, causing it to fall on Orochi. Amidst the chaos in the banquet hall, Nami was shocked to witness Kyoshiro striking down Kumurosaki. As the shogun pursued Robin and Toko, Nami unleashed Zeus's lightning on Orochi. After escaping the palace, Nami and her group dropped Toko off at the Red Light District before meeting with Kanjuro at the Northern Cemetery in the Ringo region. Nami, Shinobu, and Robin later went to a bathhouse. While bathing, Shinobu explained to Nami and Robin about Hyogoro and her past as Fukurokuju's subordinate. A beast pirate squad led by Hawkins and Drake arrived at the bathhouse to look for people with the Kozuki family's crest moon symbol on their ankles. Nami tried to hide behind Shinobu, but Hawkins noticed her and tried to fish her out, causing her to disrobe. Sanji got a nosebleed and revealed his presence, causing Nami to be surprised to see Sanji in his raid suit. Drake then came into the bathhouse and fainted from seeing naked women. While Hawkins was distracted, Nami's group took the opportunity to escape. Sanji carried them and flew away from the bathhouse. While flying, Sanji informed them that Law's crew was captured. In Ebisu Town, Nami, who was angry at Sanji over the bathhouse experience, gave his face a severe beating. After Law left to rescue his crew, Nami and Usopp briefly talked about the plight of the captured heart pirates. They then spoke with an old woman who told them about the town's 3 newcomers who used to live and commit crimes in the flower capital until they were exiled after being swindled by Komurosaki. She then told them about Toniyasu and how he had been helping the people of Ebisu Town. When news of Toniyasu's capture was revealed, Nami and her group gathered to see him being shown on a broadcast. They rushed to Rasetsu Town, but only arrived after Toniyasu was shot to death. Nami then listened to Shinobu's explanation of the smile fruits and how the people of Ebisu Town were robbed of their ability to express any emotion other than smiling. After Zoro and Sanji started a commotion by protecting Toko from Orochi, Nami joined in an ensuing chaos and helped fight Orochi's forces. After escaping the flower capital, Nami returned to Ebisu Town and met up with Beppo, Shachi, and Penguin. Beppo gave Yasuie's last message to Nami and she planned to deliver it to Kinemon. Nami and Frankie then parted ways with Kanjuro for the time being. She later gave Yasuie's message to Kinemon before joining a meeting with several key alliance members at Amigasa Village. After Tenguyama Hitetsu gave Enma to Zoro, Nami was shocked to see its destructive power when Zoro gave it a test run. 2 days before the raid on Onigashima, Nami greeted Luffy and Chopper when they returned to Amigasa Village. While the alliance was preparing for the raid, Nami scolded Zoro and Sanji for fighting each other. When Robin mentioned that Onigashima's entrance is always in winter, the Minks were unconcerned about the climate and pointed out that it would be a full moon on the night of the raid. Nami agreed that the Sulong transformations would be a huge boost to their forces. On the day of the Fire Festival, again, Straw Hats, alongside the Kid and Heart Pirates, sailed to Tokage Port in support of the Scabbards, and entered the battle with the Beast Pirates. As Kanjuro flew away with Momonosuke, he pelleted the Alliance ships with ink arrows, and Sanji shielded Nami with his own body. The Alliance was then attacked by a Beast Pirate ship with long-range cannons. However, Jinbei arrived and sank the ship, and the other Straw Hats were delighted to reunite with him. With Jinbei officially part of the crew, the Straw Hats proceeded ahead of the fleet and took over the small fortress in front of Onigashima, although Nami, Usopp, and Chopper merely watched from the ship. Afterwards, the crew prepared to toast Jinbei joining the crew, but they were interrupted by the rest of the Alliance sailing on ahead. So Luffy suggested that they wait to toast with everyone after they win, with which the crew agreed. The crew then arrived at Onigashima with the rebels and docked the Thousand Sunny. After disembarking, Nami received a Beast Pirate's disguise from Kinemon. As the Straw Hats made their way into Kaido's stronghold, Nami traveled in the Brachio Tank 5 and followed Kinemon's forces around the eastern side of the island. When they reached the Pleasure Hall, Nami, Carrot, and Shinobu volunteered to go look for Momonosuke. After Big Mom began chasing the Brachio Tank 5, Nami's group encountered Prometheus, which caused Zeus to quake in Nami's climb attack. The three quickly fled from the homie as it called Big Mom. However, Nami, Carrot, and Zeus were later captured and taken to the live stage. Since Shinobu was luckily not spotted, Nami hoped that this opportunity would allow them to save Momonosuke. When Big Mom encountered Luffy during the raid, Nami and Carrot freed themselves from the homies holding them, as Carrot used an electro-based attack, and Nami used her sorcery climb attack's lightning clouds. When Nami threatened Zeus to choose between her and Big Mom, Nami watched in horror as Big Mom regained control over Zeus with her power. Just as an angry Nami declared her friendship with Zeus over, Brook arrived and once again sliced Zeus in two with his sword, Soul Solid. While Nami praised Frankie for his help, she became worried when Big Mom was prepared to attack him due to her status as an Emperor of the Sea. Once Robin and Jinbei sent Big Mom off the live stage and the other members of the crew arrived, all of the Straw Hats assembled on the stage. As Page 1 and Ulti attacked some samurai, Usopp launched an attack on Page 1 and attempted to hide behind Nami and made declaration against the two Tobiroppo while pretending that Nami was the one talking to them, much to her irritation. The two Straw Hats then ran away as Page 1 and Ulti pursued them. While fighting the two Tobiroppo, Nami and Usopp were severely injured by Ulti's headbutts. After knocking Usopp out of commission, Ulti grabbed Nami and prepared to finish her off. Nami promised to leave Onigashima if Ulti spared her, and Ulti ordered her to say out loud that Luffy would never become Pirate King. However, Nami refused, and as Ulti prepared to kill her for it, Nami was suddenly saved by the timely arrival of Tama and Komachiyo. As the Koma Ino bit down on Ulti, Tama and Komachiyo then fled with Nami and Usopp, while Hihimaru stayed behind to stall the two Tobiroppo. As they were talking about Ace while riding on Komachiyo, Nami revealed to Tama that Ace was Luffy's brother. The group fed Tama's dangos to the gifters, turning them into allies. As they were pursued by Ulti and Page 1 again, they went through the area where Frankie was fighting Sasaki. In her human beast form, Ulti jumped over to the group and tried attacking with a headbutt, but Nami struck her with a Thunder Lance tempo. Later on, Nami and Usopp heard Sanji's cry for help as it was broadcasted throughout Onigashima. Nami figured that Sanji was caught by a woman. Page 1 eventually caught up and clung on to Komachiyo, which caused the two Straw Hats to desperately try to get him off, which Usopp was able to eventually do. However, they soon ran into Big Mom, who reacted hostilely when she saw the two Straw Hats, but suddenly turned gentle on seeing Tama. This delay ended up allowing Page 1 to reach them. Fortunately, Big Mom, having learned from Tama that Okobori Town, the town that took care of her when she had amnesia, was destroyed by the Beast Pirates, she attacked Page 1 in rage, knocking him out with a single Haoshokuhaki-infused fist. This was witnessed by Ulti, who became enraged and charged at them. Nami then attempted to turn the two angry ladies against each other, but when she realized that they were still both women targets, they attempted to continue fleeing on Komachiyo. However, Ulti then took out the Komaino with a single attack and slapped Tama when she started crying, earning both Linlin and Nami's united ire, with the latter striking the dinosaur woman with an electrical attack. Nami followed with a tornado tempo, but the attack was easily dodged, with Ulti managing to catch the navigator and attempt to headbutt her. Big Mom then unintentionally saved Nami by using Mazerho on Ulti, knocking her out. The Straw Hats then attempted to flee with Tama, when Nami noticed Zeus observing them. When Zeus realized he'd been seen, he tries smiling endearingly at Nami, only to be snubbed. Big Mom revealed to him that Zeus had officially been replaced and had his replacement Hera start eating him, before turning her attention back to the Straw Hats. She separated Tama from them and then attempted to kill the two when Zeus tearfully started declaring to Nami how sorry he was and attempted to use his last moments to slow Big Mom down for her, though he was easily squished. With his soul leaving his body, Nami attempted to give him some black balls as a parting gift, but Hera seemingly ate up both Zeus and the black balls. Tama then started running away from the Straw Hats, which made Big Mom resolve to kill her along with them. However, Kid then appeared and used Punk Gibson to smash her into the floor, claiming he would take over the fight and allowing the three to run away. The trio continued running to the stage. When they heard the first announcement that Kaido killed Luffy, they were shocked, but were quickly relieved when they heard Momonosuke's announcement of Luffy being alive and coming back. They were then shocked to hear Zeus commenting that he was happy about the news from Nami's climb attack. As it turns out, Nami's last-minute gift of black balls had not been in vain, as it had allowed Zeus's soul to accidentally enter the climb attack just before he could be consumed by Hera, turning it into a sentient weapon. Just as the Straw Hats then managed to reach the stage, Ulti caught up and headbutted Usopp into the floor while also catching Tama. The pirates started strangling the girl, having realized that she was the reason that the gifters and Big Mom turned on them. Nami attempted to stop this by hitting her with the extended climb attack, when surprised her by enlarging the end into a mace. Zeus then stated that although Ulti is tough on the outside, her insides must be severely damaged, and she would need only one more strong hit to be taken down, though Nami stated she couldn't do that while she held Tama. Usopp solved this by separating the two with Midoriboshi, Sargasso, allowing Nami to use Raite on her, although Ulti still managed to dodge it. Just as she was preparing to counterattack, Zeus possessed the attack and homed in on Ulti, knocking her out. After Usopp captured Bao Huang, who was witnessing all this, they used her to broadcast Tama's announcement. Though Tama was initially intimidated by Queen, the two Straw Hats encouraged her, allowing the girl to activate her Kibi Kibi no Mi ability, turning the tide of war. After briefly cheering for her success, the two Straw Hats fled with her. As they protected her, they found Speed, who carried them on her back. When Usopp took advantage of Big Mom rampaging below them, Nami contacted Frankie, asking for a status update on Luffy. And after Frankie told her that he only knew what Momonosuke previously said, she said Momonosuke should be with Shinobu, but she couldn't reach her either. When she was later escaping the fire with Usopp, Tama, Speed, Gazelleman, Daifugo, and Hamlet, who carried Komichio, both she and Usopp heard a scream and was stunned when she saw Kinemon's lower half running around the castle, asking for help. After Usopp pointlessly tried to grab the legs and calm Kinemon down, Nami pointed out since the lower half didn't have any ears, they would need a different way to confirm they were allies. Nami was then drawing the crescent moon symbol on the half and would listen to Kinemon's request of having Kikunojo saved. Nami was later hiding in the Beast Pirate's bathroom together with Tama, Speed, Hikimaru, Komichio, and Marco when they deduced from a shockwave that Law defeated Big Mom. When Zeus cried over Big Mom's defeat, Nami angrily reminded him who his new master was. Unknown to her, Luffy lost his battle to Kaido, and after Kaido descended to the castle declaring he killed Luffy in his battle, Nami called him a liar, refusing to believe that Luffy was killed by Kaido, revealing her position to him. As Kaido was about to fire a bolo breath at her, she was shielded by Marco. When Nami and Tama learned that Luffy was still alive, both of them were in tears, but were shocked when Luffy's giant head suddenly broke through the roof. Nami reunited with a crying Chopper, and they both worried about the rest of the crew as the fires engulfed more of the island. However, Raizo and Jinbei sent torrents of water throughout the castle, extinguishing the fires. After Nekomamushi had announced Kaido's defeat, Nami and the rest of the alliance celebrated. Later, Nami and the rest of the Straw Hats met Yamato and were surprised when he announced that he would be joining them. Nami listened to the conversation with Usopp and Tama as Tama explained her powers, and was shocked to hear Tama telling Speed to stay with her like a mother. After Momonosuke started announcing the citizens' freedom, a crying Tama jumped into Nami's arms. A week later, the crew celebrated Luffy's and Zoro's awakening and recovery. Nami was reading a book to Toko as Momonosuke and Yamato arrived. When Momonosuke tried cuddling up to Nami, she punched him for it before being reminded that he was truly 8 years old. Nami then suggested that Yamato join the women in a bath before the festival, but Yamato refused due to the castle not allowing mixed bathing. After the baths, Nami and the others enjoyed the festival alongside the citizens and the Ninja Pirate Mink Samurai Alliance. The next day, the Straw Hats met to discuss Pluton. Shinobu and Tama then visited, and Tama announced that she would study as Shinobu's apprentice and join the Straw Hats, which Nami found adorable. Days later, the crew went to Tokage Port in preparation to depart from the country. As thanks for helping Luffy, the crew agreed to take Caribou with them and drop him off at the first island they reach, but forced him to travel in a barrel. Momonosuke, Yamato, and Kinemon caught up to the crew before they could leave. Nami was brought to tears by Momonosuke's emotional breakdown over the crew's departure. After Luffy gave Momonosuke a flag with the crew's Jolly Roger, they set sail and bid farewell to Momonosuke and Yamato. Nami directed the ship towards Mogura Port in Hakumai so they could take a lift down, but Kid goaded Luffy and Law into taking their ships over the Climbing Koi waterfall instead. Egghead Arc. As punishment for forcing them over the waterfall, Nami shut Luffy into a sea stone cage. Jinbei tried to calm her down, but she only got more infuriated, and this frightened him. Robin then announced that the newspaper had arrived with their new bounties, and Nami contemplating turning herself in for the high reward. After reading that Sabo had assassinated Cobra and Vivi had disappeared, Nami wavered between worrying about Vivi and Vivi's feelings before crying in worry over Vivi. Zoro then reminded them of how Luffy had left Ace to do his own thing until his life was in clear danger, and suggested that they do the same for Vivi, which drew ire from Nami, Luffy, Chopper, and Sanji. Nami then listened as Robin read aloud over the events reported in the newspaper. Luffy then told his crew about his oath to Sabo and Ace, as well as about his dream once he becomes the Pirate King, which confused Nami. Days later, the Thousand Sunny entered a turbulent and cold region of the sea and came across a giant warm eddy. Nami directed Jinbei to take the ship away to avoid getting sucked in, but Luffy and Sanji spotted and heard Bonnie trapped inside it. After Zoro cut open the eddy, the wind carried Chopper and Luffy off the ship. At the same time, the Mecha Shark attacked the ship and ended up capsizing it. While Jinbei swam off to save Luffy, Chopper, and Bonnie, the ship and the rest of the crew were saved by Lilith and Vega Force 01. As the robot lifted them out of the water, Lilith explained the shark's purpose and malfunction and introduced herself. Lilith demanded the pirates' valuables, but Nami insisted that Lilith finish saving them. Nami then panicked as the other sea beast weapons surfaced. However, the attack was called off by Shaka, who who ordered Lilith to bring the ship to Egghead. Once they reached the island's labo phase, Nami, Robin, Usopp, Sanji, and Frankie disembarked, while Zoro and Brook remained behind to guard the ship. Lilith had the Straw Hats change outfits and don DOM shoes before entering the lab. After the Straw Hats followed Lilith through the door, Nami considered searching around for treasure, for which Usopp criticized her, so she kicked him. Edison directed them down a corridor where they encountered the Seraphim unit S-Shark. The pirates were confused by the Seraph's appearance like a young Jinbei, but Frankie realized he was a type of pacifista as the Seraph began to attack them. When Nami prepared to counterattack, S-Shark swam through the floor and grabbed her by the throat, but Sanji kicked S-Shark aside, freeing Nami from his grasp. The other Straw Hats then followed up with their own attacks. Shaka ordered S-Shark to stop, ending the other satellites' experiment, and also activated the magnetic locks of the pirates' dom shoes, shackling their feet to the floor. After introducing himself, Shaka began explaining the futuristic yet ancient technology of the island, as well as the events of the Void Century and the world government's efforts to erase any of it and anyone who learned about it, which frightened Nami. He also related how the Ohara incident inspired Monkey D. Dragon to found the Revolutionary Army, and Nami was surprised by Dragon's passion. After telling them all that he could, Shaka forced the pirates to follow him to a monitoring room, where they watched Vegapunk talk to Luffy down in the Fabio Phase's scrapyard. Nami was happy to see the others were safe, but didn't recognize Bonnie. Pythagoras then ran in, alerting them to the arrival of CP0. Lilith suggested handling the pirate over to Rob Lucci, and Nami was shocked to learn he was still working for the world government and insisted that he be turned away. Not trusting the agents, Shaka ordered Pythagoras to refuse the agent's entry. When CP0 ignored the order and infiltrated the island, Nami grew angry with Lucci. As Luffy began fighting Lucci, Vegapunk rushed into the room, hoping to see Luffy's white transformation. When he asked Nami about it, she was just as clueless and suggested it was from the Gomu Gomu no Mi, but Vegapunk pointed out that there was no such fruit. He then explained his theory about devil fruits. As they watched the Seraphim attack the government agents, Vegapunk explained how he recreated certain Paramecia-type devil fruits with green blood, and Nami realized that the Seraphim were why the 7 warlords had been dismissed. When Vegapunk mentioned that his brilliant mind would pose a threat to anyone it turned against, Nami suggested that they kill him as a precaution, to which Usopp objected. Vegapunk then added that he would be joining them on their ship, which surprised Nami. Vegapunk later requested 7 spots aboard the ship, at which Nami balked. Once Luffy's group met up with the rest of the crew, Luffy didn't want to leave yet, but Nami reminded him that Lucci was there, and would later freak out when she heard Rob Lucci invaded the Labo phase, as well as being amazed by the fact that Vegapunk was able to sneak in a spy of him into the world government. Nami was later present when Zoro, Brook, and Stussy came into the laboratory and would overhear Shaka's concern over the disappearance of the main Vegapunk body. When Shaka proposed to go search for the main body, Nami was excited at the prospect if it meant to leave Egghead faster than they had to, though mainly she hoped to get some treasure by finding him. When everybody present split up to find Vegapunk's Stella, minus Luffy and Zoro who were guarding Rob Lucci and Kaku, Nami paired up with Brook and Edison. While looking for Stella inside the laboratory, Nami got distracted by the artificially created diamonds and wanted to keep them, though she was told by Edison that finding Vegapunk was their main priority, and was left in awe when Edison told her that the diamonds were man-made. However, soon after, Nami suddenly screamed with her scream being heard across the laboratory, as she, Brook, and Edison were attacked by S-Shark, who was instructed to kill everybody but Vegapunk and the traitor. During the skirmish, S-Shark was able to knock Brook's head off his body and heavily damage Edison, leading Nami to defend herself. She then summoned Zeus and used Raite to electrocute S-Shark from the inside, seemingly injuring him slightly, while Nami sobbed and apologized to Jinbei for attacking the Seraphim. Her attack, though, wasn't able to stop S-Shark, who used his artificial devil fruit powers to dive into the ground and grab her from the underground. Just as he had managed to grab her, Nami was saved by Sanji, who took over the fight for them. While Sanji was fighting S-Shark, Nami tended to Edison, telling him to hang in there while they waited for help. The following day, York was found to be the culprit and was subdued by the reunited Straw Hat Pirates and their allies, who subsequently forced her to contact the 5 elders. After listening to their conversation, Nami and Vegapunk both stated that they understood her plan. And with that, we are caught up, mostly. I'm pretty sure by the time this video comes out, there's going to be like 5 more chapters maybe. Anyway, thank you for watching. Did you enjoy the video? Be sure to check out these other great videos from the Amagi, and make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. I'm Adrian, thanks.